Hello everybody, my name is CulBlu and I'm bringing out this video of me reviewing a board game, and today I'm going to be doing my review here for World Order. This is take 4. Man, this has been a journey to try to get this recorded. But yes, I've done my playthrough of World Order. I had that posted at the time of me recording this, and I'm redoing my review, mostly because during my reviews I typically do a teach as well. And there were some rules that I got wrong that were, I noticed some when I was doing the kind of editing and everything, or whatever editing I normally do. And there was something that I called out in the video already. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the whole thing over again, so I can do the review, get things a little bit better organized, and then get a teach in the middle, and then do another review. So let me go and get our background music started, because I love my background music, and y'all know I love my background music. If you don't, if you're new here, hello, I like background music. So my apologies ahead of time, but it's what helps keeps me sane. So... sanity aside, sanity checks aside. Oh my gosh, my tablet froze. RIP. It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. What background music set the tablet? Alright, we'll give this a second to figure out his life. There we go, thank you. And before I was so rudely interrupted by the fact that my technology was not working. Yeah, we have World Order before us. So World Order is a game where your goal is to essentially control... Oh, I thought I switched my camera, but I did not. There we go, now we fixed it. World Order is a game where basically your goal is to go through and try to take over the world. No, I'm joking. You're trying to win the most points. You're trying to score the most victory points. It's a game that's an area control, area majority game. If you think of it that way, it ends up being less of a less of a misleading perspective, let me say it that way. Because this game is as big of a game as it is, and I mean that in lengthwise, I don't necessarily mean in fame and fortune, although fame and fortune seems like it's coming along. So congratulations, kudos to Hegenomic Project Games folks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make my review twice. So I'm going to do a review before I do my teach, and then I'm going to do a review after. And the reason why I'm doing that is because if anybody just wants to know, hey, what about the game, tell me more about the game, I want to kind of get that up front so we can do a review of, you can know my feelings about the game, my opinions, things I like, things I didn't like, my rating and all that fun stuff. And then I'll do a teach in the middle, and I'll try to play through 1.5 rounds. This game plays 6 rounds total, but I'll play 1.5 rounds. Shouldn't take too terribly long, but it'll take a little bit. And then at the end, I'll do a review at the very end to kind of button things up, which I'll pretty much just repeat most of what I said here in the first half, unless I kind of think of some other stuff. So that is how I'm going to structure this video. So there you go, got the overview of everything. But going back to what I was saying before, World Order is a game where your entire goal is to have the most control of things. It's kind of a point salad situation kicking in, but you have regions that you're kind of vying for control in, and you're doing a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to review this game from the perspective of somebody who has played multiplayer with 4 players. So I played the EU, who I'm currently rocking right now. With a few friends when we were first learning. We played very incorrectly. We played with very incorrect rules, but I do still have an impression of the game from that. And I'm also going to review it as somebody who is now a hardened veteran, having played the solo mode 4 times now, all the way through with three Automas, playing every single time as the European Union. Consider me a European Union specialist now. Doesn't mean I'm good. It just means that I've only played the EU because I'm stubborn. I don't want to spoil anything about like my victories or non-victories, but you can check out my playthrough video that I did. So I do have that posted on YouTube at the time of me recording this video. It is already posted, so you can go watch that if you want to. If you want to see how solo works with 2 or 3 Automas, and see how I do. Now, going back into the game, though, because I do want to make sure now we've got the overview of the game through, I do want to go ahead and give my review of the game, starting off with things that I like about this game. And again, I'm going to do a teach after I finish this part, and then after I finish the teach, I'm going to do a review again. So it's going to be 2 reviews and 1 video, so that's right, 2 for 1. There you go. But as far as the game goes, I think there's a lot of things that I've come to like about the game, and with me qualifying things by saying "come to like" about the game, you can kind of hear some foreshadowing of my overall opinion of the game. But some things that I come to like of the game, more specifically, just kind of the nuance and the decisions that you make in this game. There is a lot of nuance in this game, and that kind of reflects kind of the real world, how these superpowers interact from the Americas with the EU and Russia and China. It's very reflective of the real world and the real world happenings and dealings. And I'm telling you, as somebody who's played this game with incorrect rules at least twice, and finally got the correct rule set by the time I got my final video out, which I still, even then, I got a rule wrong on scoring. But it didn't really change the fate of the game too much. I can tell you that the more that I kind of got the rules correct, the more that I kind of learned about oh, this is how this is supposed to work. Oh, this is how that's supposed to work. I started seeing where the nuance of the game was and where the nuance of the game is, and I appreciate that greatly. I will say that it was a journey for sure, and I'll talk about things that I don't like later. But for now, I just want to go back into the positives. I did like the overall experience of what ended up showing up. Once all the mechanics were kind of in play and being played correctly, once all the things were kind of running and humming along, it was nice to see how my decisions in early game really greatly impacted my decisions in late game. It was also great to see how the U.S. or China doing something different really affected and caused me as the EU to react or force me to react in certain ways. And again, I think it's very indicative of how the real world works with the superpowers. And I think it's really cool that that the Hegenomic Project folks, they were seeking out to make a game that they can kind of use to kind of teach people about how the world worked. That's what they said in the rule book over there. I pointed towards the book that has all the scholarly research, because I did go for the Kickstarter Deluxe Edition, so I went all in, paid with my own money, not sponsored by anybody, not biased or anything. Take that how you will. And I'll say that this game does very well of like kind of taking those world lessons, taking the information that the Hegenomic Project folks got from scholars and from politicians and from people who understand geopolitics and kind of implement into the game. And I also would like to give commends for making it as country neutral as possible. What I mean by that is that it's very easy for me as an American, because I'm an American citizen, born and raised in America, and so is my family, and so my generations of families before me. I am also a Black American, if you didn't pick up on that by my skin tone there, but I'll just go ahead and say it out loud. But my understanding of America has grown over the course of my entire life, from when I was young to where I am now, in my whatever age I am now. Sorry, I had to think about it. Mid-30s here. So take that how you will. I'm still a babe to a lot of people's eyes. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of bias that comes from Americans' perspectives on the world. Let me just say it that way. As an American, I can speak from my own personal experience that learning about the wider world is very interesting, because it really opens your eyes and stuff. Taking AP World History in high school, back when I was in high school, all those days ago, was interesting and opening of my eyes about other things that happen in the world and different cultures. And AP History class, thankfully, didn't just focus on Western history, which I think is kind of one of the biggest sins of my country here in America. We focus very heavily on Western stuff and Western civilizations, but there's like a whole bunch of other countries out there. It's really cool. Anyway, all that aside, though, so my preconceived notions of like what China might do in this game is completely different, because it's not matching what I might assume China would do. It's matching what China actually does in the real world. My preconceived notions of what Russia and America's relationship would look like in this game are completely different from what I assumed they might look like, because there is a lot of cooperation that happens between Russia and America, not just because of whatever assumptions you might have about our current administration here, Mr. Donald Trump himself, but more specifically because of just how superpowers have to interact with each other. Something that China does greatly impact what the EU is thinking about doing. Something that the EU and the US are thinking about doing does greatly impact what Russia wants to do. And they all have to work together, they all have to come together, because at the end of the day, these four countries are the superpowers that are represented in this game, but they are the superpowers, or you can make arguments for or against, but they are, relatively speaking, generally accepted to be as superpowers according to scholars, for a reason. And that reason is cooperation, dominance, power, and just kind of having a monopoly over who gets to control violence and stuff. Again, longer conversation can happen in a different way. But what I'm trying to say is that the game does a great job of reflecting that, without getting too esoteric and too into my own political beliefs and everything. Not that I'm afraid to espouse those. I'm just trying to focus back on the game. I think it does a great job of doing that without getting too caught up in the bias, and actually reflecting what the actual professionals say that the world looks like. And that's really cool, because when playing this game, like again, I use the example of if Russia does a thing, then that makes America do a thing, or if China and America are doing a thing together, then the EU might feel some kind of way. That really shows up in this game. I've had a game, not the one that I did my playthrough of, but I had a game before where Russia and China are literally just fighting over here in Central Asia the whole game. And the whole time I'm like, okay, well, I don't have to worry about them as the EU. I'm just going to focus on my stuff. And then eventually China just started coming over here and coming over there, and I don't know why. It just started showing up. And it was really annoying, because just China putting one cube of influence over here really screwed me up, because it pushed me off and caused me some problems. So I thought it was very interesting and fascinating about how small those things really impacted the game. And in the real world, that's how it works. small a change or how small a thing that one country does really does greatly impact another when it comes to the superpowers as far as you know, far-reaching implications and all that. So that is one of the bigger things that I liked about the game. I will also say that this game does unfortunately get better with more plays. I say that as somebody who, like I said, is on my has 4 solo playthroughs under my belt. Playthrough number 1 was kind of rough. Playthrough number 2 was a lot better. Playthrough number 3 was rough-ish, but you can kind of see the video there. and playthrough number 4, which I did offline, that one went much better. Still didn't go as well as I wanted it to go, but it went much better because I had a better understanding of the game. So I think this game kind of falls into the ranks of games like Twilight Struggle, to where the more experienced player is going to have the bigger advantage, as in you've seen stuff, you know what the countries want to do, you have a better idea of how things work, or if you just have an accurate understanding of how the superpowers, what they want to do in real life, because that is reflected here in the board game, you'll have a much better time playing through the game and strategizing and winning throughout the course of the game. So that goes a long way to say that, yes, this game does a good job of kind of reflecting the real world, and it does kind of reward long-term planning, and also rewards kind of, I don't want to say skullduggery, but it rewards clever maneuvering. And those are things that I can appreciate, because in a game like this where there's area control, strategy stuff, you got to play cards, you got to kind of invest in the long haul. It does reward long haul strategies. It also rewards, quick reaction to how the world's changing, because if you don't pivot when you need to pivot, you can fall into some hard times and just end up losing so many points and losing the game because of it. So those are things that I think are pretty strong for the game. Yeah, that's going to end my things that I like. Now, going to the things that I don't like. This is going to require me to talk about this game's predecessors, which is hegemony. One of the things that I saw in the forums, I think somebody posted this. It was either in the forums or somebody commented somewhere. But it's like every time, they were upset at the reviewer for bringing up hegemony when they were talking about World Order. And I understand that some people want to just hear about the game that is in front of you when you're talking about a game, but you can't talk about World Order without talking about hegemony. It's much in the same way that you can't talk about Gaia Project without paying respects to Terra Mystica and like other games like that are predecessors before the other games that are great. I will say that this game, if I'm using hegemony as an example to give you more context, I love hegemony. Hegemony is a great game. It is of my games that I did a ranking of, I think sometime in late 2024, early 2025. I did a ranking of all my games, and essentially on the list it was like maybe about 450 games or so. I had more games than that, but I removed some because I didn't remember the experience clearly enough, and some were just expansions for my collection. So 450 games is what ended up being on the list. Hegemony ranked number 4. And I'm saying all this to say that I really love hegemony. I like hegemony a lot, and hegemony is kind of like one of my quintessential, this is a game that has a conversation because of what it does. And the reason why I'm talking about this in my negatives is because World Order is I don't want to say order of magnitude less than, but it definitely falls short of following up something like hegemony. And I think it's very important to acknowledge that, because hegemony is a very special and specific game. And if you come from hegemony going straight into World Order expecting hegemony levels of stuff, you're not going to see it unless you have a really, really crisp, clear understanding of how international politics work. In hegemony, for those who don't know, hegemony is a game where you basically just kind of simulating like a state, like a country, unnamed country. And in that game, you have 4 players. One player is playing the working class, one player is playing the capitalist, one player is playing the middle class, and another person is playing the state. And with these 4 different factions, these 4 different characters, there's interaction that happens. So the working class, they need money, so they go to businesses, they go to work at the capitalist's businesses, and sometimes the working class's business, and sometimes the business that the state opens, the public businesses, the public sector. And the workers will get that money, and they'll use that money to buy healthcare, they'll use that money to buy prosperity, they'll use that money to buy happiness and all that fun stuff. And that's important to note because, people can kind of contextually understand that with a good or bad understanding of how capitalism works. But on the flip side, the capitalist, speaking of capitalism, the capitalists in that game of hegemony, they have businesses that they want workers to work at, but they just want to have all their money sent overseas because they score points by sending their money overseas into their offshore bank accounts. But before they do, they have to pay capital gains tax. Before they do, they have to make sure they pay their workers that worked at the end of the round. So all that money that they might have accumulated as a capitalist, they got to pay it out to those pesky workers. And also the capitalist is trying to get the state to lower its tax rates and all that stuff. So you have all these interactions that naturally cause conflict because the capitalist wants the most money, but they need the workers to work there because if the workers don't work there, then the capitalist can't really make anything to sell overseas anyway. and they can't make money. So now the workers, they want to work at the businesses so they can get the money, but they also want to have the highest wage possible. So you have this conflict that naturally happens between the capitalist and the working class. And the middle class is kind of like a half step between the two. The state is trying to get legitimacy from all three. So I'm spending all this time explaining hegemonies because for those who don't know hegemony is a very tight-knit game, mostly because of everything is so interconnected naturally from how a capitalist system would work or how the model of a capitalist system in that game ends up working. So when you sit down and play the game, even if you don't know anything about capitalism or don't have a clear understanding of it or accurate understanding of it, you end up just role-playing your role very naturally. As the working class, you want the most money. So you want the most money, you want the state to give you free healthcare, you want free education too. So you start advocating for those things, you start voting for those things, you start doing those things. And then the middle class, who's, like I said, a half step between the working class and the capitalists, they kind of don't want the taxes to go up, because the state is going to have to fund all that free healthcare and all that free education. So the state's going to try to raise taxes. So it's going to raise taxes on the capitalists and the middle class, and the working class really doesn't feel it too much when the tax increases. So again, you have this natural conflict where everybody's trying to vie for control. So sometimes you have the middle class teaming up with the capitalists to try to get the state to lower the taxes. Sometimes you have the middle class working with the working class so they can try to raise taxes so you can get more free healthcare, because the middle class wants free healthcare too and free education too. So you have this like kind of this tug of war that naturally happens, and the state's kind of stuck in the middle trying to make everybody happy, but then trying to team up with somebody, but also trying to team with the others, make sure they're not too mad, but then trying to go against the others when they're trying to lower the tax rate too low, because that means the state doesn't get money. It's just this like very interconnected system. And again, I'm literally spending this much time explaining hegemony to say that this game has that. You just have to know where to look for it. And I hate it. It's in my negatives because it doesn't show up just naturally like hegemony does. Even if you have a misunderstanding of how capitalist systems work, you just naturally end up falling into the role of playing the working class and doing what working class would do, to advocate for yourself, to get unions, to do this stuff. In World Order, when I play as the EU, with my first few games, it's like, okay, I'm the EU. What makes me so different from America? America has more money and America has easier time building tanks. But like this, the EU, I have handshakes. What does that mean? As Russia, I have tanks everywhere, but I don't really have much on, making partners, making friends. So what does that mean? As China, I keep investing in a whole bunch of stuff, but what does that mean? And again, these things don't mean anything out loud, but when you play the game and when you see how the mechanics really impact stuff, like China ends up having this long game strategy where they invest in a whole bunch of their ally countries. And it ends up being a situation to where China is trying to play the long game, invest in their countries, and make sure that Russia's not messing with them too much, and the U.S. is not messing with them too much in their spheres of influence. Meanwhile, America's trying to be everywhere, do everything. Europe is just trying to survive and trying to get as big as alliance as possible. And you have all this, again, natural conflict that ends up happening. But you have to look and you have to find it. And again, this is in my negatives because it doesn't show up on the front of it. It's to the point to where my rating on this game, I'm just going to jump to it because I spent a lot of time talking about hegemony instead of world order, so my apologies. It's so much so to the point to where my rating on this entire game is I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 as far as our rating. In my heart, I want to say 6.5 out of 10, but I know that this game is following up hegemony, and that's unfair. Because this is another point that I want to make sure I bring to the forefront. Something like hegemony is very specific and very unique. It's a game that I love a lot. It's a game that I like a lot. It took me a little bit to kind of warm up to World Order, but even with my warmed upness to World Order, I still see the flaws. I still see the issues. Like, for instance, the length of the game is another thing I don't like. I think this game lasts maybe 2 hours too long. I don't really know what to do to solve it. Some people suggested playing just a half game just because you score on round 3 and score on round 6. Some people suggested playing a half game, but I was like, but then you have enough time for things to develop. Some people suggested maybe just doing I don't say some people, but I tried to suggest to one of my friends, we're just kind of workshopping ideas, like maybe having like a drafting mechanism to where you can draft cards and start on round 2 or something. I don't really know, but this game to me just lasts a lot longer than I think it should. And compared to hegemony, I feel like I can play 2 hegemonies for one of these, and that's a problem for this game because this game is not hegemony. This game is not as good as hegemony, in my humble opinion. Hegemony, if I'm giving that rating, I would give it like a 9 out of 10, 8.5 to 9 out of 10. For this one, 6.5 to 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 being the one I'm going to officially get it because I'm trying to give it a little bit of deference, given that I know that I'm biased by how much I love hegemony. That when I come into this, I think, man, this could have been hegemony. This could have been more, but it's not. So it ends up being a very unfortunate letdown. And again, I spent so much time talking about hegemony because I think that this game following up hegemony is one of its biggest negatives. If this game was first and then hegemony came out afterwards, it'll be great. I think I would end up abandoning this game and going to hegemony instead. But I think it'll be great because you can kind of see where the Hegenomic Project folks really did their homework. They really got the scholars involved. They really put the mechanics on the board, and they really had the nuance available in the game that exists in the world without making things too complicated, too complex mechanically for the players to play. And it ends up being this really beautiful like developing story over the course of the game. The unfortunate part is over the course of the game, again, one of the negatives I said about this game is that, or things I didn't like, is that this game lasts a little bit too long. Over the course of the game, this game lasts between 5 to 7 hours. And I'm being generous when I say 5 to 7. I think my playthrough video ended up being 8 hours, but I was doing a solo recording. So I'm recording and I'm also explaining everything and I'm controlling the bots. So that takes a little bit longer, so I understand. So I would more so give this game like a time estimate of maybe 5 to 6 hours. Or what did I say? No, I said 6 to 7. Let's say 5 to 7. Sure, I know 5 to 7 is a little bit wider range, but 5 to 7 hours, and that hurts because if I have a group, and we could play a game for 5 to 7 hours. There's so many other games I'd rather play. I'd rather sit down and play maybe 2 games of Clans of Caledonia with people. I'd rather play a game of Hegemony with people. I'd rather play maybe a game of Revive, or maybe play some Mage Knight with, well, actually Mage Knight's a solo game, but I'd rather play some other games, play some Gaia Project or something. So it makes it very hard, and I think somebody else made this argument. Bear made this argument. One of my friends that I stream with, Friendly Neighborhood Gamer, go check him out, he's pretty cool. But he made this argument that he would much rather play Scythe than this. And I'm bringing that up because this game is very Scythe coded with its area control side of things. Everything is virtually adjacent, basically adjacent. You can get to anything at any time. And you don't really fight in this game. You also don't really fight in Scythe, but you end up kind of just vying for control, kind of converting resources in Scythe. And then in this game, you're not really converting, well, actually you are, I lied. You have a production board, so you're converting resources to try to, get yourself what you need. And yeah, this game is very Scythe coded. And to the point where if you told me this game was designed by Jamie Stegmaier, the person who made Scythe, the person who's a part of the company that made Scythe, which is Stonemaier Games, I believe you. If you told me this game was made by Stonemaier Games, I believe you. Because this game has so much of this, I don't want to say same DNA, but so much of the similar feel that Scythe gives you, where you're kind of posturing a lot with your tanks. In this game, you don't actually shoot people through tanks. You just put your tanks in spot and it causes a threat. So you just posture, and you are trying to get the area control that you need, area majority that you need. So you're trying to control the area spaces. You're trying to get the resources that you can and get the alliances. And yeah, this game is very Scythe coded. So if you love Scythe, you'll probably love this game. One of my friends who plays this game with us was Apples, and she said that she loves Scythe and she likes this game a lot because this game feels like Scythe with extra things going on, and that appealed to her. And again, for me, I think Scythe is okay. I played Scythe like 3 times. I think I won twice. My first game and my second game, I think I lost my last game. But outside of me losing my winning streak there, I think Scythe is a pretty fine game. I haven't played it in so long that I can't explain all the mechanics to you. But I will say that this game being Scythe coded kind of hurts it because again, Hegemony is such a very specific beast of a game, such a very specific and unique game that it's really hard to kind of go from that asymmetry, masterpiece to this, which is much more, everybody can kind of do the same thing. Everybody kind of starts in a similar, somewhat kind of close-ish space with their starter deck. Just you have a slight different focus over here in the military for Russia. You have a slight different focus on investments here for China. For the EU, you make more friends. You try to do more of the partnership side of thing. In the USA, you kind of do it all. So it just ends up kind of being a game that just, I don't know. Again, for me personally, this game's biggest flaw is that it follows Hegemony, which is very unfortunate because, the Hegemonic Project games folks, they would eventually have to make a game. So any game that followed Hegemony was going to probably have the same scrutiny. So I understand the people who are upset that people keep comparing this game to Hegemony, but this is the sibling of Hegemony. This is from the same family of Hegemony, much in the same way that you'll always be compared to your older sibling who is better than you apparently. I say joking, family trauma aside. This is one of those games where, I think it's a fine game. I think it's a very competent game. I think it's good at what it does. It does take a little bit for it to kind of open up and grow, but some people just don't have the time to invest in letting this game open and grow. Again, Clans of Caledonia is a great example. I play Clans of Caledonia a ton. And also, I just looked at my app. I apparently played Gaia Project 25 times at least. That's as many times as I've marked down my scores for the app. But for Clans of Caledonia, I play that game a ton as well. And when playing that game, I've learned that some factions are very early, some factions are very late. But I played it enough to know just the nuances that exist in that game. And I feel like for this game, that nuance does exist, and there is some form of that in here. But it's really tough because you don't have as many options. You have these 4 superpowers, and that's really it. If you try the EU, you don't like them, you can try Russia, who's a little bit more early. You can try China, who's a little bit more for the long haul. You can try USA, who's a little bit more for the kind of doing everything, kind of choose a different goal every game type person, but they want to be everywhere all the time, all at once if they can. And it just ends up being kind of a game that doesn't have as many, it doesn't feel like it has as many paths to victory, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like you have to play the EU a certain way, you have to play Russia a certain way. I don't know. This might just be me kind of just spitballing here. Actually, let me be more specific. This is me just kind of spitballing here, mostly because I've only played the EU, and I've seen the Automas control the USA, Russia, and China, and I'm assuming that that's how the designers wanted them to be controlled. So I can kind of see the strategies that they usually want to do. And like I said, the USA is usually all over the place. Russia is usually very aggressive early game, but they kind of fall behind. And then China is just over here just investing up a storm. So it's kind of crazy. So yeah, that's neither here nor there. Sorry, I'm getting to the rambling side of things. So let me go ahead and kind of summarize things up here by saying that for my rating for this game, 7 out of 10 is what I'm officially giving it. I do think this game is a fine game. I think if I had to pick this game over a few other games, I wouldn't pick it. The biggest drawback for this game for me, besides the fact that it follows Hegemony, and it's a sibling of Hegemony, as in it's the next generation of, is that this game does last quite a bit. It has been a whole day commitment for me playing solo, but again, I've been recording, so again, if it takes me 8 hours to do a full playthrough solo, which is what my video clocked in about, that makes sense because I'm recording, I'm controlling everything, I'm announcing, I'm explaining what I'm doing, I'm explaining what the bots are doing, I'm trying to announce everything. So I understand it slows me down a little bit, but even still, even if this game gets clocked in at like 4.5 hours, maybe even 3, like I feel like if this game was like a 3-hour game, sure, but this game is breaking that 3-hour mark, and it's like, yeah, I might as well just play Mage Knight at this point, or I might as well just go play Great Western Trail, or I might as well play Revive, or I could play Slay the Spire, the board game, with my friends and just spend all day doing that instead of this. So this game ends up falling short, I think, because of the length of it, which sucks because the length is needed for the game to develop. So it's tough. It's a tough spot overall. I have my own specific feelings about it, again, because it follows up Hegemony. But yeah, that's kind of the overall summary of things. I think it's a great game for if you want to get into some area control stuff. I think this game could be a good 2-player game. I'm going to try it out with Bear here soon, sometime in the future, to see if we can do a 2-player game with us 2 playing and 2 Automas playing. We might do a stream of that. But I think playing solo has been reasonably enjoyable, even with all of my frustrations of trying to go through the rules and stuff. But those are things I'll probably talk about at the end after I remember some of the rules. So speaking of which, let's go ahead and cut it there for the first part of the review. So if all you want to know is the review, feel free to jump past all the tutorial stuff, all the demo stuff, to go to the second review so you can hear me rant and ramble again. Maybe I'll be less coherent than I am now. I don't really know. It's getting a little bit late, but let's go ahead and try to move through our teach here. So what we have before us is we have World Order. If you've never played this game, the main thing you need to know about this game is that this is a area control game, area majority game. You're trying to control certain areas. You're trying to, posture with your tanks. You're trying to get allied countries on your side to allow you to do some trade. You're trying to invest in places. You're trying to do a whole bunch of things. But the main thing you want to do is you want to score points. There's a lot of different ways to score points in this game. The primary ways to score points are by having cubes on the board, which cubes represent your control. Your influence is what they're called. And these influence cubes, they do give you points throughout the course of the game. To be more specific, there's 2 scoring phases in this game, a mid-game scoring and an in-game scoring. The mid-game scoring, every region that has all of its permanent influence filled out will give you 1 point for every cube that you own in that area, and temporary influence is going to be cycling throughout the course of the thing, but that's the way you get points. There's also, whoever has the most cubes in an area, they'll get points, a certain number of points based on who's in first, who's in second, who's in third, and there are some tiebreaker conditions that exist, yeah, that's kind of the general gist of the game. You're trying to do what you can to get where you need to go to earn the points that you want. This is a very vague way to explain this game, but that's the best way I can explain it in as short a terms as possible. So that is the overall overview of the game. Now, as far as the playthrough, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the setup here because I'm the human player here on the board, and then after I go through the setup of my board here as the EU, I'm going to explain the Automas, and then, I'm going to do my board setup, and then I'm going to make sure the rest of the board is set up out here, and then I'll set up the Automas, and then we'll start playing. And by start playing, I'll try to do a rolling teach. It's been a little rough trying to do a rolling teach because as far just know I'm going to try to workshop a new idea. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll just leave it in. It's fine. I like to do all my videos in as few takes as possible, so one take is all I need, right? Right? What's the worst that could happen? All right, so let me go ahead and switch my camera over here to our main view. This is going to be me here, the EU player. I am the sole human here in this game, and my goal is to win. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my board. I have my player board here for the European Union, and I have these cubes. These cubes are clear cubes. They're going to go on the spots that are marked on the board. This is going to represent my production throughout the course of the game, and I'll be able to take certain actions to produce. I'll also produce at certain phases of the game, and that'll allow me to kind of get my goods and get goods and kind of move through the world. Additionally, speaking of goods, I'm going to have my goods markers. So I'm going to have all these markers here. These markers are going to represent different resources, different materials that I can use to kind of do different things or build different things or help me power different things. And those resources are going to be, I'm just going to call them by what they look like: phones, briefcases, food, flags, oil, and stone. Now, the official names for these things, I'm going to use official names for this from this point going forward as much as possible. So this is these flags are diplomacy. This briefcase is going to be business. The phones are consumer goods. The food is food, or sorry, the grain is food. The oil thing is energy, and the stone here is raw materials. So that's the official name of all of those things. So we're going to have a certain number of those. Again, you can see my productions up here at the top. This is my primary production. Down here is going to be my secondary productions, which that'll make a lot more sense once we actually get started. I also have my prosperity marker that if you played Hegemony, this is kind of a callback to that. But my prosperity marker will be able to go up at a certain point in the game that I'll be able to use to continue my progress and growth throughout the course of this game and give me points and money and stuff. I also have my marker here that's going to show what stance I'm in. It's going to show what focus I'm in. And this one's going to be my domestic focus here. We're all players are going to start in the domestic focus, including the bots, including the Automas once we get over to them. So that's what they do. Oh no, my music stopped. Oh, there we go. Oof. I was getting scared. It's like, what happened to my music? Oh no, come back. There we go. So this is going to be my focus. My focus is going to start in the domestic focus. Again, all players and all Automas are going to start the game in their domestic focus. So just make sure that that's set there. Additionally, we're going to have some handshakes here. These handshakes are going to be my engagement tokens. As the EU, I start with 3 of these. Everybody else starts with 2 of these. So as you can see, engagement is going to be my main, one of my primary things I want to do. Additionally, I'm going to have my starting cards. These are going to be starter cards here. They're going to have my symbol here, my flag on the side. Everybody's going to have 12 cards, or 12 of those cards. If this is your first time playing, there's also going to be a little arrow on some of the cards. It should be 6 of them because you have a hand of 6 in this game. The game recommends that if this is your first game, draw those 6, find those 6, put them into your starter hand, and then shuffle the rest of the deck and put it face down. I'm just gonna shuffle it and go because we don't, we're only playing 1.5 game. Also, I've played this game before. Additionally, I'm gonna have some additional cards. I'm gonna have production cards. This is gonna be different for each country, but for me as the EU, I have some not production trade cards, excess card, export, whatever these cards. These cards, these resource cards here. For me, these are going to be phone / briefcase or consumer goods / business. These are things that I can export to other players and other players in this game because I'm playing with the Automas from the diplomacy and dominance expansion, which for those who don't know, I didn't explain this earlier. The diplomacy and dominance expansion is all the Kickstarter stretch goals. Like I said, I backed this game from the Kickstarter, so I went all in on everything. So I have that one plus the actual first expansion, which is World in Turmoil. I haven't played with World in Turmoil yet, so I can't talk about that one. But people said cool things about it, for sure. But the Diplomacy and Dominance expansion comes with the solo Automas that I'm playing with. So you do need the Diplomacy and Dominance expansion to play with the solo. I should have said that up front. I forgot to mention it, but I'll mention it now. If you don't have that, then and you just have the base game, you can only play 2 to 4 players. There's a solo, not solo. There's a non-participating power or non-participating player option that you can use when you're playing less than 4 players. And that allows you to kind of do some stuff. There's some automation there too, but just for the most part, with the Automas that I'm playing with, I have to have the expansion, so I'm playing with the Diplomacy and Dominance expansion as well. All right, cool. Now I've explained all that. Continuing on here, I have these cards over here for trade, so I can trade to other players. The Automas also count as players here in the course of this game. And I also have some starter countries. I have 5 starter countries, and additionally, there's going to be a vicious glare here this entire time. My apologies, I can't really do much to fix it. I mean, I could reposition my lights, I suppose, but I'm not gonna. So just please accept my apologies, and I'll try to angle these when we need to look at them and see them. But for the most part, these cards are going to be different country cards, and I'll punch in here so we can kind of look a little bit closer. These cards are different country cards, and as you can see here, they're going to have a lot of information on them. We'll talk a lot more about what this information means, but just know that this is Canada. It is a hex value of 2. It is my starter country. It has my flag there. I can build a base here. That's what that means. And these are some trade symbols, things I can export, and these are this is what I can import from Canada. So like I said, we'll get to know this a lot more as we go. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to explain everything right now. While we're zoomed in here, though, I will explain here my trade deals card. This is my trade deals card. Every country is going to have a different one that's going to have their country flag up here at the top, and the rest of the other superpowers down here with the goods that they can trade. You'll note here, actually, we can show, hold on, I can show and not tell, which is always a good thing to do. Here's the USA's trade deals card. You'll notice that it has the USA's flag up there. And you notice that the EU, which is me, is right there. And you'll notice that as the EU, the USA player could import consumer goods and business from the EU. And you'll also notice that that matches the 2 cards that I have here. So that allows other players to kind of import stuff from me and pay me money directly, and I give them the resource that they need. And that's really cool. And you'll notice here for the USA, on my card, I can import business from the USA. The USA will have their own business little cards that I didn't pull those out. But yeah, okay, cool. Glad I thought to show you instead of telling you what that did, because show not tell is a good principle here for movie making. And we're not making movies, we're making YouTube videos. Close enough. All right, additionally, there's going to be exports, imports. We'll talk more about that when I actually do a trade. I'll try to make an effort to do one of each action, or as much of the different actions I can do. So it won't be the most coherent strategy here for the EU when I play this demo, but you'll hopefully be able to see a lot of things, because we're going to try to do a rolling teach so we can kind of get things moving. All right, so just know that there's a certain limit on how many goods I can import and export. So I can import 2 different goods from anywhere. I can import 2 different types of goods from my board to those places. Did I say import twice? Sorry. I can export 2 different goods to 2 places, and I can import 2 different types of goods from places. So when I say types, I mean I can import phones, consumer goods from anybody who allows me to import from them. And I can import from any different sources. This is like 7 different sources that I can import from. I can import from all 7 sources, but I can only do phones and one other type of import. So I can do phones and food if I wanted to, and I would not be able to do like also energy and materials as imports at the same time. So that's me kind of explain that a little bit more. Again, we'll get a better idea of what that means later. Continuing on, like I said, we have our domestic focus set here. We're not going to spend too much time staring at it. Just know that for now, for my player board, I'm going to gain all of the resources right here as my starting part. All other players will do the same thing if they're playing with you as well. So I'm going to have 1 energy production. I'm going to have 1 energy resource. I'm going to have 1 material resource. I'm going to have 3 food resource. I'm going to have 3 phone resource. I'm going to have 4 business resource. And I'm going to have 4 flags or 4 diplomacy. All right. My prosperity marker is going to start on 0. I think everything's all set. I talked about it all. Okay, cool. We got my starter cards. Oh, there's some other stuff that we need to set up too. But I want to get the Automa set up, and then I'll come back to ourselves. Actually, no, you know what? I'll keep it here. I'll keep it here and talk about this. I need to also set up my strategic assets, and I also need to set up my superpower or superpower objectives card. So the superpower objectives cards comes with the diplomacy and dominance expansion. You need the diplomacy and dominance expansion to play with this. I would highly recommend getting the diplomacy and dominance expansion, specifically because I think these superpower objective cards should have been in the base game. I know it's a Kickstarter stretch goal, but it should have been in the base game. Day 1 expansions frustrate me, but yeah, this should have been in the base game. Going over to our strategic assets though, let me start here. These are going to be some cards that we're going to draw 3, keep 2. These are some cards that will allow us to kind of do some super special power or super special ability instead of one of our action cards during our turn. This will make a lot more sense when we get to the course of playing the game, but just know that of these 3, I need to choose 2 and keep 1. Now, before I make my decision, because I want to make somewhat of a reasonable decision, I'm going to look at my objective cards, and I'm going to draw 3, keep 2, and these scoring objective cards, the way these work, or these superpower objective cards, the way these work, is that during a certain part of the game, which is round 3 and round 6, during round 3, of the 2 that I keep, let's assume that I keep these 2, I'm going to reveal one of these to everybody publicly, and I'm going to check all the conditions. Well, I can't have this one. Can I have this one? Yeah, no, I can't. This one has a limitation here. It says if Russia is not controlled by an actual player, discard this eject and draw a new one. Russia's being controlled by Automa this game, so I gotta throw this one away. So let me throw that one away. Okay, sorry. Going back to what I was saying before, also rudely interrupted by text. I'm going to choose during our scoring phase of round 3. At the end of round 3, I'm going to say, okay, I want to score this one. So I reveal it publicly to everybody, and then I go down the checklist to say, okay, have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? If I have done all 3, I'm going to score 5 victory points, which is great. And this card gets thrown out of the game forever. And then on round 6, I'm going to score my other one as a follow-up. So actually, I think I want to keep these 2. Yeah, I'm just going to keep these 2. All right, because I think these are ones that I used in my playthrough. These are the ones I think I used in my playthrough. All right, yeah, we'll go with it. Okay, so I'm going to keep these 2 without fully looking at it. But what I was going to say earlier was that I wanted to look at all 3 of my strategic assets and also look at my 3 superpower objective cards to see what might match up better with each other and kind of strategize around what I want to keep. But I'm just going to keep these 2. Keep it simple. Now, as far as these superpower objective cards, these strategic assets, these are special because you'll see here they have a score on the side. And this score is going to be very important for all the human players that are playing. The 2 strategic asset cards that you keep, you're going to get the victory points immediately once you get those. That will dictate your starting order, your turn order. So the more points that you get, the closer to starting first you'll get, but probably the weaker the power might be. I don't know exactly how the balance is here, because I think I've had this one before and it wasn't that great. At least given the situation I was in, it just didn't help me out. But with that said, though, if I choose these 2, for instance, actually, I'll just choose these 2. Yeah, I was going to try to strategize, but I threw that out the window once I realized I was getting a little bit long-winded here with my explanations. So I'm going to add 8 victory points to the start of the game. Now, if during the course of the game, because I have the ability to play these during the course of the game, if I play either of these, I do not lose the points. I do not lose the victory points that I got from these at the beginning of the game. But these are a one-shot ability, so if I use it, then it's out of the game forever. If I use this out of the game forever, at the end of the game, if I have not used a strategic asset, I get 2 victory points. So if I have not used both, I'll get 4 victory points. So there's a slight incentive to kind of hold on to it, but I mean it's somewhat tantalizing, but not that tantalizing. And the last thing before I go over to the main board, so we can make sure we got that set up, is I'm going to talk about executive orders. Executive orders come with the base game. I would highly recommend playing with those as well, just me personally. Executive orders give you a one-time ability to play any of these actions, which these are all of the 8 different actions that you can do in this game. It gives you the one-time ability to do any one of these actions instead of the card you're playing. So I haven't explained it yet because we haven't gotten to the flow of a turn yet, because that was going to happen later, but I'll just mention it now. The flow of a turn is essentially on your turn, you'll choose your card from your hand of 6 to play one of your cards for your turn, and then you do the action on the card, and then your turn's over after you finish. And every round, you'll play 4 cards total. So you'll play 4 actions total. You have 4 turns total. Sometimes you can play more cards if you have cards that you play other cards, which we'll talk about how you get those later. But just know that for the most part, the action that's on the card is what you do. So the reason I'm explaining, actually, let me just go and draw my initial hand too. 1 second. Let me give this a good shuffle. Draw 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoop, that was too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you go. Card got stuck to each other. So on this card, for instance, when I play this card, I will be able to do a trade. That's it. I'm not going to be able to do anything else. If you're coming from Hegemony to this game, in Hegemony, you had text that was on a card, which is basically a better version of a basic action, but you could decide to discard that card and then get a different basic action instead, or get the basic version of the action instead. In this game, that's not the truth. It's not the truth. Or sorry, that's not a thing. What you do instead is you play this card, you get that action. If I play this card, I get that action there, and that's it. So that's important to know, because with executive order, it's a one-time during the course of the game. You can choose to discard your card and then play your executive order instead, and then you'll be able to do any one of these things, your choice, and then this card goes out of the game after you do that. You'll also notice that this game is worth 3 victory points at the end of the game. Okay, cool. All right, so this is going to be added to my arsenal along with my 2 strategic assets, and I also have my I threw them away. Oh no, my scoring goals. I also have my 2 superpower objective cards over here that I'll keep super secret from everybody else. And I'll put everything else back in the bag, and we shall finally go over to the board, now that I've kind of exhaustively talked about everything over here. All right, so going over to the main board, this is the main area. We have a few things left to do over here. First and foremost, we need to set our score. So the bots, the Automas, are going to start on 10 victory points. That's where they start. Now, the reason why they start on 13 is because if you use the executive order powers, the executive order card, which I have in my hand, the bots are going to start with 3 extra victory points. That's it. So that's why they're starting at 13 instead of 10. For me, though, my 2 strategic assets that I chose were NATO, which is worth 3 points, and EU expansion, which is worth 5 points. So I'm going to start at 8 victory points right there. So I'm not super far behind, but I'm definitely not going to start. And the turn order is going to be determined by whoever has the most victory points. Every round, at the top of the round, you're going to determine turn order at a certain point, and turn order is going to be based on who's further along in the victory point track. So the further behind you are, you'll be closer to last. So like me, I'm last because my score is the lowest. Now, if there's a tie for victory points, as in you have the exact same victory points as somebody else, whoever has the most money will go first. And as you'll see when we get to the Automas, the USA starts with $50. Oops. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. The USA starts with $50, China starts with $35, and Russia starts with $30. So USA starts with more money than Russia. That's essentially what I'm trying to tell you. So as a result, USA goes first, then China, then Russia, then me, and then we do that for 4 rounds, or for 4 turns, and then we finally finish the round, go to the next round, so on and so forth. Now, other things that are here, you'll notice that we start with some cubes on the board. So we start with some starter influence on the board. Those influences are in the permanent influence section. I'll talk a lot more about permanent versus temporary influence once we get to a section where something like that happens. But for right now, just know that we're going to start with cubes on the board. These are also going to be mostly corresponding with our spheres of influence. So if I just punch in a little bit closer here, just a little bit closer, you see here for Europe, you have the American flag, the EU flag, and the Russian flag. This shows that these are in those countries' spheres of interest. I think that's what the game calls it. But spheres of influence, spheres of interest, call it what you want. Places where the stakes matter for those countries. So looking down here in Africa, you see the EU is the lone flag over here. Looking over here in the Americas, which includes both North America and South America. Just to clarify, because some people don't know that the Americas means the Americas, which is very strange because they think USA, when you say the Americas, is it's just man, our country, education system. We need to work on it. But the Americas over here, the USA is the sole flag. This is their sphere of influence. And then over here in Central Asia, Russia and China care about this spot. Excuse me. Over here in East Asia Pacific, America and China care about that. So it's just kind of showing you where those spheres of interest are. And those are very important because those will determine when a tank from another person will cause you problems or not cause you problems. So we'll know more about that as we go. Now, we also have the individual countries that are kind of listed around. These countries that are here on the small cards, these are countries that we can improve relations with throughout the course of the game and have tried to join our coalition, join our side. When you do that, you'll have those countries join your little tableau that you're building over here of coalition countries or allied countries, and they'll allow you to do different things. They'll allow you to kind of reduce the cost of trying to encourage other countries to join. They'll give you the ability to kind of to try to pay for research cards and stuff like that. There's a lot of different cool things that this allows you to do. So just know that one of the core aspects of the game, because we're playing area control game, is going to be trying to improve relations with all of these other smaller countries that are not one of the superpowers, and get them to kind of join our coalition, join our side, and help us out. Another thing to note here is that when you have a country that is on your side, so to speak, it is yours forever. So there's unless something happens very specifically that makes you lose that country, which I don't think there is such a card in this game, that country is going to be with you forever. So once somebody improves relations with that country, they'll keep that country forever, is what I'm trying to say. All right. So I'm just going to give these a good shuffle so we can make sure these are randomized. And we're almost there. Just got to get up and get these ones. Okay, last one. All right, so that is pretty much it for the board. Now, there's additional things here. Because I'm playing with the Automas, there's going to be a few additional things. Those few additional things are going to be, besides the Automa boards down here, which you'll see them shortly. Those few things are going to be this deck, and this board. So this deck is going to be a randomizer for the Automas. Whenever they have to make a decision on certain things, they'll be using that deck. That deck comes with the Diplomacy and Dominance expansion. This deck over here is the Auto Influence deck. This comes with the base game. This is used if you're playing a game of with 2 to 3 players. So if you have 2 players in the game, you can play with a non-participating power that I mentioned before by using the Auto Influence deck. You flip over the card, you follow some rules and do some things. Check the base game rulebook to figure out how that works. I don't know how it works because I haven't played with it, but we will use this here for the Automas with the Diplomacy and Dominance expansion because this will help them make decisions on certain things. And these are randomizers. So this is a randomizer for where the various countries are going to pick things. This is a randomizer for when they're going to choose a certain thing if they have a few different options to choose from. Over here is going to be the Automa board. This is going to be the heart of how the Automas are going to act and do things. It's a very simple, straightforward board. I was going to try to find a way to get it a little bit more visible on camera, but I gave up. So I'm just going to tell you about it because I will be using this a lot. So you'll hear me use this a lot. I'll explain it every single time I use it, the thing I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Now, as far as this goes, there are cubes. There are cubes on here. There's also cubes on this round track. If for the eagle eye among you that might have saw that, I'll talk about these cubes after I finish talking about these cubes. These cubes are the actions. So when the Automa, let's say America, when America decides to do an action, we're going to check. Let's say America decides to do a yellow action. We're going to check to see, okay, where's America's cubes on the yellow action? If America has any cubes on the left-hand side, America's going to take that cube and do whatever action's there. So invest. So America's going to do the invest action. We're going to do it. We're going to finish everything, do whatever it does here for the Automas. And then after America's done with that action, we're going to move this cube from left to right, like so. And that's it. And then when China goes, let's say China does a red action. So China does a build a base action. We're going to build a base. We're going to do everything that build a base does for China. We're going to make sure we finish the action, get all the influence, do all the tank stuff, whatever we need to do. And then we're going to move over China's cube, which is red. And that's it. So that's how it is essentially going to work. We're going to check this board and see where they're going to go. Now, I do want to go ahead and talk about these extra cubes. Throughout the course of the game, at the top of the round, so at the top of round 2, at the top of round 4, and at the top of round 6, we're going to add some additional cubes to the board. This will give the countries some additional things that they can do. So I'm just going to use this as our example because it'll just fit pretty nicely with what we're doing here. Actually, there we go. I'm just putting those cubes in random spots. The Automa cards will tell you where to put them, but I'm just putting them in random spots for right now. Now, if the United States was going again, let's say the United States is doing a second action, and the United States is doing another yellow action, if there's any cube on the left-hand side, they're going to do this one first. They're going to move like that. That's it. And then they're going to do the, let me explain that better. They're going to do the action that's here on the left-hand side, and then once they're done with that action, they're going to move the cube over. That's it. Now, let's say the United States is going to do another action, and they have 2 cubes over there. Actually, let's use China for a second. Let's say China goes and China does a red action. So China's going to do whatever this red action is, which is move. They're going to do whatever that pertains, and then they're going to go ahead and move their cube over after they're done. So let's say Russia goes, let's say Russia does a red action. They got a cube here, so they do the red action, and then we'll finish whatever that is for build a base, and we move over. That's done. And sorry I'm making this complicated, but now we're back to the U.S. I want to make sure everybody had a turn so you can see the cubes moving. When the U.S. does a turn, let's say the U.S. did a yellow action, what's going to happen is the U.S. is going to do whatever this yellow action is, which is trade, and then after they're done, they're going to move every single cube that's over here back over. So it doesn't matter if there's 1 over there, it doesn't matter if there's 5 over there, they're going to move every single one back over. And that's extremely important to note because the way this is kind of divided, which it took me a while to know this, and I'm a little frustrated that I didn't know this beforehand. Maybe I should just read the rulebook. I don't know. Maybe it's Maybelline. But if you look here, there's a little graphic on the board where it shows from left to right. It shows a single cube moving over, and then it shows from right to left. It shows a group of cubes moving back over. So that's a reminder there. Additionally, anytime an Automa does an action here on the left-hand side, it is going to add an influence to the board, just because of the action that it's doing. Anytime the Automa does an action on the right-hand side, it is not going to add an influence to the board, based on the action that it's doing. So that's kind of how that's organized. Again, I don't know if that's written in the rulebook. Apparently I didn't read it hard enough. But if it is written in the rulebook, then go read the rulebook. Don't do what I did and not read the rulebook and just kind of struggle through it until it just made sense and you found it out yourself. No need to retread ground that is already there. But essentially, these left-hand actions are going to add influence to the board, which is very important because remember, influence is control and influence is also points. And the right-hand side is going to reset their cubes, essentially push it back over, and then give them some other action. Okay, cool. So that's the Automa board. Up at the top, we have different focuses. These focuses should be the same as the focus that I have here. So the Automas, they have a domestic focus spot. They have a diplomatic focus spot. They have a military focus spot. They're just like me, but they have their own different focuses. That's going to be determined based on the randomizer once we get to that particular phase in the game. And that's it for what we're looking at here. So that is all that. Now, finally, we're going to look at the Automas. This should be pretty easy to talk about. And then we're finally going to start playing. Now that I've explained a lot of things. I'm trying to info dump the important stuff up front. So that way you kind of have it all and we can go with it. So as far as the Automas go, we have the Automas set up and organized here. We have America at the top, we have Russia at the bottom, mostly because of the initial starting order, not because of any political commentaries here, because I really want to put America at the bottom, but that's just me. Love for my country aside, the Americas are going to have this row, China's going to have this row, and Russia's going to have that row. Now, that row. The reason why I'm pointing this out is because the Automas are going to be aligned, the Automas are going to be set up in a different way than what a normal player might set them up. So I'm setting them up here in rows and columns, mostly because of how the Automas are going to function. Now, normally, when a normal player, human player does a thing, it's going to have specific restrictions and specific rules. The Automas will have a different set of restrictions, a different set of rules. We'll talk about most of those as we go along, but I'll give a very vague example of what I mean by that. So if Russia, no, that's China. If Russia wants to build a base somewhere, let's say Russia wants to build a base in Central Asia, they'll build a base here in Armenia. When Russia builds a base in Armenia, in Central Asia, they'll put a barracks there, and then they'll do all the stuff. They'll put a base there, and they'll do all the other stuff. Now, if Russia was to come together with another turn, and Russia wanted to put another base in Central Asia, Russia is allowed to do that. And that's mostly because the rule is that the Automas are only allowed to have as many bases or FDIC markers, which are the finance markers here. China's going to use a lot of those, but the other countries use them too. They're only allowed to have as many of those bases and FDIC markers as the number of countries that they have there plus one. So what I mean by that is that for Russia, Russia can have a max of 2 bases and 2 FDIC markers. So they can have one more FDIC marker if that's what the board state looks like. If Russia had another Central Asian country, like so, then they could have 3 bases and 3 FDIC markers. Again, not super complicated. I just want to explain why I have it organized the way I have it organized. It's not because, well, actually, it's mostly because it's going to help me just record it a little bit easier and help us see things a little bit better. So that is my explanation for all those things. That is about all I really need to explain in that particular part. And yeah, so that's that. Now, additional things over here on the left-hand side, we're going to have the Automa's card. Now, for the Automa's card, you'll notice that they have their money listed up here. They also have some priorities listed here, and they also have some queue spots listed here, and they also have their prosperity track there. I'm not going to use the physical money. I had the metal money for the game, which is pretty cool, but I'm going to use these counters instead because it's going to help it keep it a little bit more organized and a little bit easier there. So I just kind of have it set up like this. I just want to explain that ahead of time so people don't just wonder, hey, where's their money? Their money's going to be kept track of by these counters. These counters don't come with the game, by the way. They're aftermarket things that I got. But America's going to start with $50. China is going to start with $35, and Russia's going to start with $30. Additionally, the Automas are going to start with the normal starting player deck. So this is Russia's starting player deck. They're going to start with the normal starting player deck here of all 12 cards. We're going to give those a shuffle, just make sure those are randomized. And that is about it. So we are essentially all set and ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring our camera back over to our main view, and we're going to start our game. So I've explained everything for the Automas. There's some extra stuff that's going to be explained as we go along, but we're already about an hour in, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with our playthrough. So let's go and start our playthrough. Keep in mind, I'm only going to play like one full round plus like the first maybe 1 or 2 turns of round 2. And then I'll stop and I'll do my second review at the end of all this. So let's go ahead and get into things. So starting with the first action, the first player to go is going to be the USA. So the USA is going to take their first action. So for the Automas, when they take their first action, what they're going to do, or when they take their actions, what they're going to do is they're going to take their deck of cards. They're going to flip the top card, and all we care about is the color. We only care about the color. So here the color is green. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that information, we're going to go back up here, we're going to look at this green spot, and we're going to find America, which is the blue cube. We're going to say, okay, America, what are you doing here? America's doing an engage action. So when America does the engage action, what we're going to do is we're going to do these steps for the Automa doing an engage action. Now, this is a relatively universal truth. I say relatively universal truth because the Automas are still a little bit weird, so check the diplomacy and dominance rulebook, or if I can give a shout out here to Mr. Mike Ward, go check out Mike Ward's Automa sheet, his V2 quick start guide, if you want to call it that. But this thing is great. This thing is great. I use it. I blindly follow it now because I played enough of the solo game to know that these things are accurate on the sheet. And these have all the Automa's different actions listed with that explanation of what they do in bullet point form. Really easy to follow. Huge shout out to Mike Ward. I want to make sure I give him all the flowers possible because this saved my life in my mini playthroughs of this game solo with the Automas. So, with that said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to consult that sheet and we're going to see what the engage action does here for the USA. Also, I'll point this out here for the first round, maybe first one or two, maybe 3 turns for the Automas. I guess first turn for the Automas. I'm going to try my hardest to do the action first and then move the cube. But from that point going forward, I can't make any promises. I'm probably going to move the cube before I do the action because otherwise I'm going to forget to move the cube to begin with. So, just know that you're supposed to do the action first and then move the cube for those people who can have their brain do normal things, unlike me who has to do it difficultly. Wow, my explanation just fell apart there, didn't it? All right, so for the Automa doing the engage action, what we're going to do is for America, we're going to draw this card here for the auto influence to figure out where they're going to engage with. This auto influence deck will punch in a little bit. This auto influence deck is going to have the countries listed here. So we have Americas, EU, Russia, China, and they're going to have the location that they're going to try to engage with. So for this one, the Americas are going to try to engage with the USA is going to try to engage with the Americas. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the engage action in the Americas. So that's going to have us look at the diplomacy flags they have listed here. So in this case, America has 4 diplomacy flags listed here for this corner. So we're looking at the bottom left corner down here. And America needs to pay flags for this. Now, one thing you'll notice here for the Automas is that you'll notice that they don't have any resources. They just got money. Well, they thought of that. So what we have up here is we have a conversion chart. So this little conversion chart right there. And that conversion chart is going to tell us how much to convert for each thing. So every time America or China or Russia needs to pay for flags or earn flags or pay flags for a thing, they will instead earn $5 if they need to earn any diplomacy. They will instead pay $5 if they need to pay diplomacy, so on and so forth. So what that means is going back to our board here, America needs to pay 4 diplomacy flags to do this. So right now America needs to pay $20. Now America's going to get a discount for this. America's going to get a discount for every country that America has. Oh, I'm missing a country. Uh-oh. Hold on, they should have 4. 1 second. We are missing a country. Chaos. Where did it? Oh, did I keep it on accident? Oh, I see. I moved it down here somewhere, didn't I? Yep, there it is. Okay, there we go. Sorry. For those who might have been yelling at your screen the whole time, my apologies. I did not see it, but I caught it. And I made a mess of things. Oh my gosh. Jeez. Just tearing everything up here. This is why we can't have nice things as Americans, I'm telling you. Starts off great and then just boom, exploding the lands. All right. Okay. Sorry, going back over here. Sorry, America has a country in Americas. So because of that, we're going to get a discount. This is Mexico. So let me get a better angle there. It's Mexico. So that's Mexico. All we're looking at is just how many of those countries that it has in that region. We don't care about the hex value. We don't care about anything else. We just care about how many. So for this one, America has 1 country in the Americas. The U.S. has 1 country in the Americas already. So as a result of that, we're going to reduce this cost by 1, by the number of countries that they have that are allied already. So America's going to pay 3 flags instead of 4. So as a result of that, we're going to convert that. 3 times 5 is going to be 15. So America's going to pay $15. So America's going to go down from $50 down to $35. So now America has paid $35, and America will add an influence cube to the region, which is what their bonus is. And now we have a decision between high and low. So before we make our decision here, I will explain a few things. When a player does an engagement action, they will get to choose to put their influence cube on the permanent influence spot or the temporary influence spot. Now that, sorry, I had my handshake there because I was going to explain something else, but I forgot I need to explain this first. Now, the permanent influence spot is going to be permanent influence. It's going to give you 1 victory point immediately and later on you're going to earn points for influence there if this region has all of its permanent influence spots filled and it scores. Now, temporary influence will give you more points. You can get 4 points here, but once temporary influence is all filled, let's say this has 4 cubes filled in, if somebody adds a 5th cube, it's going to bump the oldest one off, and the newest one's going to bump in kind of conveyor style. You will not earn additional points once you're placing the 5th cube for the Americas here, once you're placing the 6th temporary cube here for the Middle East, North Africa location. But you will be able to fight for that area majority that you so desperately want. So that's what all that's about. So I'm saying that because that's one thing that happens. The other thing that happens is if you're a player and you do an engage action, specifically engage, you get to add a handshake. I'll explain what handshakes do later, but just know that the Automas do not add handshakes. Well, I repeat, Automas do not add handshakes, only players do. All right, so going back here though, the Automa has to decide between permanent influence and temporary influence. So in order to make this decision, we're going to do our first flip here of our randomizer deck. We're going to flip over this deck, and this deck is going to have a section on it that's going to tell us high-low, whether they're going to put their cube on the permanent influence side or whether they're going to put it on the temporary influence side. And we're also going to check the round, because that's going to help us keep the randomizer random. So we're going to flip this card, and we'll look at it together. So you see down here where it says influence, this is all we're looking at. And we see down here it says 1, these are different rounds. So round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, round 6. But for round 1, we're going to put our influence cube on that black spot, which is the top spot. So that means that the USA is going to decide to put their influence cube right there. And as a reward, they're going to get 1 victory point. So they're now the leader of the pack. Well, they already were, but now they're more the leader of the pack. So that's all done. All right, so America's is now done. So that's it. That's our entire action. So now we're done with the Automa's action. So now I'm going to switch back over to our other cam, and we're going to flip over China's card, because China's next in turn order. And I'm going to flip the card, and I'm going to change our overlay to this overlay, so you can see my area down here. You can see the Automa's up here. Oh man, that's terrible. I can fix that. Now you know it's fine enough. Man, no, it's not. It's going to bother me forever. Sorry, I just got to shuffle everything down a little bit so it can actually be visible here. There we go. Here's China doing their China's thing. And what we're going to do is we are going to play the... Oh, thanks. We are going to just kind of use this view to kind of keep us from having to flip back and forth between cameras. That's all we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and do the green action here for China. So China's going to do the green... Oh, sorry. The USA did a green action. I forgot to move the cube. See? I told you I was going to forget. I forgot already. Anyway. So China's going to do a green action. They're going to do an engage. I'm going to go ahead and move their cube because I'm going to forget otherwise. Now we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to flip over this deck, figure out where they're engaging. China is going to engage in South Asia. Another note is that the Automas are only going to engage where they have a country in that region. So they're not going to engage in places where they don't have a country in that region. But China does have a starter country in South Asia. They have Pakistan there. So China's going to go ahead and check out the cost here for engaging in South Asia, which is 4 flags. They got 1 country, 1 allied country already, so they're going to reduce it by 1, so from 4 down to 3, and they're going to pay $15 total based on our conversion chart up there. So China's going to go from $35 down to 20. All right, and then China's going to be able to put one of their influence cubes. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Pardon me. Get your tanks out of my tanks, please. All right, there we go. And we got to choose if they're going to go high or low. So we'll flip, and they're going to go low. So China's going to grab 4 victory points here on the temporary influence side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. All right, so next up is Russia. So we're going to flip over Russia's card. Russia's doing a yellow action. So Russia is the white cube. So we're going to do they're going to do an invest, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that's an invest. So Russia's going to do an invest. Now, when the Automas do an invest action, what we're going to do is we're going to flip over the decision card here. And for Russia, they're going to invest in Central Asia. We asked the question, do they have a country in Central Asia? The answer is yes, they have Armenia. So as a result, they're going to spend $15 flat. It doesn't matter what the cost of anything is, they spend exactly $15 all the time. So Russia's going to go from $30 down to $15. And we place a FDIC marker, FDI marker, on that particular location. And remember, they can only have 2 FDI, right now, Russia can only have 2 FDI markers for every country in the central, man, I keep messing up my words. Russia can only have 2 FDI markers in Central Asia. That's what I was trying to say. So they place one there, and as a result of doing that invest action, Russia will also gain an influence cube in Central Asia. So we got to choose high, low here. So we'll see if they go high or low. They're going to go high. So 1 victory point here for Russia. And that's it. So now we're over to me, the player. I'm on my turn now. So for my turn, I don't even know what cards I have. I said I was going to try to do one of everything. So let me go ahead and do a, well, first, let's go ahead and talk about some fun things here. So for the player cards, you'll see here that some of the cards have a little cube at the bottom. This is to inform us, the player, and remind us, the player, that when we do those actions with cubes at the bottom, that will gain us an influence. That's just a reminder. It's not a absolute thing. Well, it's mostly an absolute thing, but I was trying to see where I can get an influence because I wanted to place an influence early, and it looks like here's my only place. Now, I also want to keep in mind which of these scoring cards I want to go for. This one's worth 9 points and probably harder to hold long game, so I want to go for this one first. So I'm going to try to make this one as true as possible. So I want to do influence and gain influence cubes in whatever regions this one calls out. So this one says, in order for me to score 9 points, I need all 3 of these true. So first of all, for the first one, I need to have the most influence in the Middle East, North Africa. The second one, oh, sorry, let me bring our board up while we're doing this, because we can read this from here, right? Can we? Is that, we can go closer. Enhance. Enhance. There we go. Yeah, that's what, oh, I ran into this problem before, I see. Yeah, I remember. Yep, Yep, that was my fault. All right, is that too close? That's good, we can read that. Yeah, it's fine. All right, okay, cool. All right, save that. All right, so what we're looking for is have the most influence in the Middle East, North Africa. So Middle East, North Africa, I need to have the most influence here. The second one is have more influence than each other player in Africa. Currently, I'm winning that, but I think China likes to meddle over here, so I might need to add some more. And then finally, have at least 3. We use the left-hand side because we're going to do this on round 3 instead of round 6. Have at least 3 influence in total in the Americas, South Asia, and East Asia Pacific. So it's between those 3 regions, I need to have 3 influence cubes over there. So the question is, where do I want to go first? Because I think the Middle East, North Africa, Russia likes to meddle here a lot, and the USA likes to put a lot of cubes here too. So I think I want to try to get an early head start in the Middle East. I want to try to put a permanent influence over there. So as a result of that, I am going to choose to play my engage action, which is called soft power. So for this one, it says engage in a region. If you engage in Europe, Middle East, North Africa, Middle East, North Africa, or Central Asia, spend 1 less flag. So that's great. So we're going to zoom to our normal view here. There we go. And I'm going to play that card. And when I do play that card, I am going to exhaust, because I'm targeting Middle East, North Africa. I need to pay 6 flags, which is a lot of flags. Actually, before I do that, hold on, I have a better plan. Give me a second. I just did a think. I lied, y'all. My apologies for being a fibber. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play this card instead. This card says, improve relations with a country on the board. I'm going to do that. When you improve relations with a country on the board, you're essentially gaining that country as an ally to your tableau. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oop, that's the wrong button. Sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and play improve relations with a country on the board. I'm going to do that for the Middle East, North Africa, and I want to choose, I got 2 options here. So I got Iraq over here, which has a few things, but I also have Israel. So Iraq allows me to build a base, which I kind of want to do, but I already have a space I can build a base here in Jordan. So you can tell I can build a base here because it has a little symbol here with a circle with my flag in there. USA can also build a base here. I don't really care about that. I just want to know if it's better for me to grab this one, Iraq, or grab Israel. If I grab Israel, I can't build a base there, but Israel will give me some trade for some late game stuff, and that could be nice. But Israel's more expensive. Israel will cost me 3 diplomacy flags. So when I improve relations with a country, I need to pay the number of flags equal to their hex value. This is where the hex value matters. And I can reduce that cost by taking a member country that I already have in my allyship and exhaust them. So flip them face down. And when I do, that gives me a discount equal to their hex value. So what I think I want to do is I think I want to grab Iraq. Well, because if I grab Israel, I reduce the cost of the Middle East by a lot. Okay, no, I'm grabbing Iraq. I'm going to grab Iraq because I can build a base there. And I'm gonna court them. I'm gonna improve my relationship with them, bring them over to the EU side, and I need to pay 1 diplomacy flag, so I'll pay 1 diplomacy, and that's it. My turn's over. I gain them as a country. We now refill this spot, and that's it. My turn's over. So the human turn is done, but this is hopefully going to help us do our next action, which our next action is going to be to engage in the Middle East, North Africa, and we can reduce that cost from 6 down to 2, which means that we're only getting like a one flag discount, but it felt good. Oh, actually, we get a 2 flag discount because we also get to spend 1 less. Look at us, thinking with portals. All right. Jokes aside, let's go move on. So now we got the USA, they're up next. So the USA, we're gonna flip their card. They're doing a red action. They're gonna do a build a base action. So USA is a red cube, excuse me. Oh, that's loud. And they're gonna do a build a base. So for building a base, the Automas are gonna make a decision based on this little structure here. So these are all the player aid cards. The game gives you physical versions of these. I scan these into my computer so I can like add them here as overlays. So that's what you're all looking at right now. But as far as everything is concerned, when we look at the things that it's doing, we're building a base here for Americas. So America's going to follow the move/build base priority. Also, if you look down here, whenever the Automas are doing one of the actions, they're doing one of these things here. I haven't shown us this yet, but I'm revealing it now. These are all the actions they're doing. This is a player aid, like I said, that comes with the game. I'm using a different one, but it's fine. So they're going to move. They're going to build a base based on this priority. So what we're going to do is we're going to check. We're going to go down this checklist and try to find where the USA is going to build their base. Starting off, we're going to check to see where the US is currently under threat. They are not under threat anywhere. Under threat is considered where an enemy has a tank. Then they'll be considered under threat. We'll have plenty of examples of that showing up later, so I'm not going to bother explaining it exhaustively now. Just know that the USA is not under threat in any of its regions. So we're going to move over to the second set of bullet points here, where it says a region in its zone of interest where it will put at least 1 player under threat. If multiple regions apply, then do these things. So right now, the USA and EU, we're part of NATO. So as a result of that, that means that the EU and the US do not have tanks that threaten each other. So if the US puts a tank here in Europe, it would not put EU under threat. If Russia puts a tank here, though, Russia will threaten both the US and the EU individually. So that's a very important thing to note. So if I put tanks there, it won't affect the US, but it will affect Russia. If US puts a tank here, it will affect Russia, but not the EU, so on and so forth. So knowing that information, the US only has 3 locations where it will put at least 1 player under threat, and the Automas count as players here. So it'll be the Europe, Middle East, North Africa, or East Asia Pacific, where it's going to put Russia under pressure, Russia under threat, and China under threat. So we're going to have to try to break a tie between those things. Now, because we have 3 different options and they're all kind of equally there, we go to the next bullet point where another player has more tanks. Nobody has any tanks, so that's not true. And then where it will put the most players under threat, still a tie, because it's going to put either 1 person under threat or 1 person under threat. So therefore, we're going to have to do a tiebreaker. We're going to call this 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to refer to the randomizer that's over here in the deck. If you look here in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll notice it has a number here. We're going to look at that because that goes from 1 through 3. So we're going to flip over this card to figure out if the USA is going to build a base in Europe, Middle East, North Africa, or East Asia Pacific. And they're going to choose to build one in East Asia Pacific. Great. I want them to fight with China. Good job, USA. Good job. So they're going to go ahead and build a base in East Asia Pacific. So we're going to bring it back over to the Automa cam, and we're going to ask the question, do they have a country in East Asia Pacific? And the answer is yes, Japan. And they are allowed to build a base there. So therefore, we will build a base there. So we're going to take one of our barracks and put it right there. And then we're going to, it costs $5 to build a base. And then it costs $5 to move a tank to where you're trying to put your base. So the USA is going to spend $10 total. And the Automa will always spend exactly $10 to build a base and move a tank somewhere. Players, there's some variants in there that we'll talk about whenever I decide to build a base, if I decide to build a base. But now that we've done that, we spent $10 here in Japan, and we're going to move one of the USA's tanks over here into East Asia Pacific. And of course, because the USA did an action that's over here on the left-hand side, they're going to add an influence to the board. And now we're going to figure out high or low, and they're going to go high. So they're going to add 1, or they're going to gain 1 victory point here for the USA. And that's it. All right, so USA is all done. Now we're going to go to the next one. So China is going next. China is going to do a trade yellow action. China is going to do an invest action. So China's a red cube, is going to invest in one of his countries. We're going to figure out which country is investing in. China's going to invest in Americas. They have no country in the Americas, so they can't. China's going to invest in South Asia. They do have a country in South Asia, so they will. They're going to spend $15 exactly. They have $20. They're going to go from 20 down to 5. And we're going to put one of our markers there. And China's going to add an influence cube in that region. Oh, we got to figure out high or low. We're in round 1. China's going to choose low. So I'm going to gain 4 victory points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Running away with the game already? Already? It hasn't even been round 2 yet. You jerks. You bastards. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Changing our music here. Just gonna give us a little bit more of a look. Okay. Ooh. Oh. So where'd that come from? All right, so continuing on. China's all done. Moving on to Russia. Russia's flipping. Russia's gonna do a green action. So Russia is going to do an engage action. Oops. So we're going to figure out where Russia's going to engage at. Russia's going to engage on the Middle East, North Africa. They do have a country in Middle East, North Africa. They have Syria. So they're going to engage there. So we're going to spend 6 flags. So they need to spend $30. They have 1 country, so we're reduced by 1. So it goes from $30 to $25. Russia has $15. So Russia does not have enough money. As a result, we're going to check our escape action. So first, let me go back and we're going to undo that cube move. This is the reason why the game says don't move the cube until after you finish the action. But we're going to undo that cube and we're instead going to do a trade action. Now Russia has a cube over here, but even if Russia did not have a cube over here, Russia would still do an escape action or do a different action of trade, even if they didn't have a cube over here. But we're going to do a trade action. So because they're going to trade, we're going to just move their cube now. So don't forget. And again, we're going to go back over here. For trade for the Automas, it works differently for the players, of course. But for the Automas, we're going to count all of the export symbols. And then we're going to give them $5 per. Now, the export symbol is going to be on the left-hand side. The import symbol is on the right-hand side. So if I use the USA's Mexico here as an example, that didn't work. As an example, I'm just going to move them down for a second. You'll notice here you have some symbols on the left-hand side, some symbols on the right-hand side. The right-hand side with the arrow pointing down is going to be an import symbol. So that means that the USA could import energy from Mexico, but the symbols on the left-hand side are things that they can export or send to the other country. So as a result of that, we're going to focus only on the left-hand symbols. So Russia is the country doing the thing. Russia is going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 5, so $25. So Russia's going to go from $15 to $40. Wait, is that math? Yeah, $15 to $40. And that's done. Now Russia's turn is over, and we're finally back over to me, the human, your favorite human here. All right, so I'm gonna take my next action. I'm gonna go ahead and engage. We talked about this earlier. And I'm going to engage, and I'm gonna engage in the Middle East, North Africa. And as a result, I need to spin flags equal to this. So I have currently 3 flags, but I get a 1 flag reduction, so I'm paying 5, and then I can exhaust Iraq. And that's going to reduce it by 2 again. So I'm now paying 3 flags, and I have exactly 3 flags. So 1, 2, 3, and I get to now put an influence over there. I'm going to put my influence on the top because I want to make sure I hold onto the spot. 5 points, actually, 5 points is a lot though. All right, I'll put on the 5-point spot. I mean, it's too tempting. I mean, permanent influence is better than temporary influence in the long run, but 5 points is 5 points though. So I'm going to gain 5 points. And I also get to put a handshake out here, which this handshake is important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't explain it before, but I'll explain it now. So handshakes are really cool. Handshakes during the return on investment phase, which will happen somewhere later in the round, at the end of the round, I can decide to exhaust or remove this handshake from the board to earn $5 per country, allied country that I have of that region. So in this case, that will earn me $10. Additionally, I can choose to, optionally, I can choose to keep the handshake there, and then when we're checking for threat, I can decide to exhaust the handshake that's there in the region to give me 2 defense for every member country that I have that I'm allied with. And that's very powerful. So when Russia decides to put tanks there eventually, I will be able to defend myself against that, or I can possibly get $10. So I don't know, sounds like a win-win to me. So that's what I want to do. I'm going to commit to that. Now we're moving on to the next bot. We got the USA. They're doing a green action. They're going to improve relations. So improve relations means that they're going to try to gain a country. The same way that I improve relations, they're going to try to gain another member country, and they're going to choose a country in the Americas. So they're going to choose between these two. There's a decision structure that they're going to choose from, which is right here on the top left green card. Top left green card is going to do they're going to improve based on that. So the decision structure that they're going to use is they're going to check to see if there's any other starting countries that are here, and the answer is yes, Mexico's here. So the USA is going to try to obtain that one. Now again, they have to pay 1 flag for every symbol there, and they do not get any discounts, no matter what stance they're in. So the USA is going to have to pay, use our conversion chart, $15. So the USA is going to pay $15. They have 25, so they're going to go down to 10. And an additional thing is that you'll notice, if I go back over here, an additional thing is that you'll notice that the USA now has 2 copies of the same country. So whenever the Automa gets multiple copies of the same country, or gets a better version of the country, first you'll notice that there's 2 copies of Mexico, a starter version and a upgraded version, if you will. But whenever the Automa gets a upgraded version of the country, what we do is we completely remove from the game the older or lesser version of the country. We put that away, and then we just keep the existing one. Now for a player, something special happens whenever I get an upgraded version of the country. Hopefully we see that happen here during our demo, but just know that I'll be able to get a free influence if I have the country not exhausted, or if the country is exhausted and I improve relations with the better version of the country, then I will be able to unexhaust that country for free, essentially. So that's what that does. But for the Automas, they just throw away completely the old one. The better version is still better. They get more trade options, but it's just, just how it works for the Automas. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit up close here. All right, continuing on, we got China. China's going to do a red action, so China is going to build a base. So now we ask the question of, is China under threat? China is under threat here in this East Asia Pacific. America's single tank is causing 1 threat to China, and China has 0 defense and 0 threat to counter back with. So therefore, China is going to build a base over here. So they're going to start their little base race over here. So China is going to spend $10. Oh, it can't. It's broke. China has $5. I lied. So China is not building a base. Nope. Instead, China's going to trade. Let me double check. Yep, China's going to trade. So China's going to trade. We're going to move that cube over from the trade side, and we're going to go back over here. How many symbols? 1, 2, 3, 5. So China's going to get $25. So they're going to go from 5 to 30. Okay, so we're all done. Now we're going to move over to the next action for Russia. So Russia's going to do a thing. Oh, sorry, my bad. I forgot. Oh my gosh. Jeez, I feel so bad. Going back to our trade action, there's another thing that's supposed to happen here. After the Automas do a trade, and this actually might have impacted Russia, but after the Automas do a trade, what we're going to do is we're going to also go through here and figure out who else they're trading with, because they have the ability to trade with the other superpowers. And when the Automas do a trade, and I'll explain it here, again, I missed it earlier, but I caught it now, so we'll just kind of move on from here. We're going to flip this card and see, okay, which country? China. And who are they trading with? China's going to trade with the US. Now, when China trades with that country, when the Automa trades with a country, the Automa is going to earn a diplomacy flag. I earn a diplomacy flag whenever I trade with any superpower, but the Automas are going to also earn a diplomacy flag if they trade with another country, either me or any of the other Automas. Now, it's important to note that we have to convert that diplomacy flag to money. So therefore, China is going to trade with Russia, and whenever the Automa trades with, China is going to trade with the U.S. And whenever the Automa trades with one of the other players or other Automas, it's going to give them $10. So the USA is going to earn $10, I should say, not give, but USA is going to earn $10. And then, so China's not losing any money, is what I'm saying. They're just going to give the USA is going to earn $10. And then additionally, China's going to earn its diplomacy flag, which is going to convert immediately into money. So China's going to earn $5. So in that case, China actually earned $30 total, and the USA earned $10 during that trade session. I will go back and do Russia's earlier trade to draw to see who earned what. So Russia did a trade way earlier. I need to flip another card because I completely forgot about that. Russia, ooh, they're going to trade with me. Hey, I'll take it. So Russia's going to earn $5 more, which actually might have helped it out last time, but nope. Not here. We're not retconning. We're not re-recording this video. And then I'm going to earn $10. Oh, I never grabbed my money. This is backwards. Okay. There we go. I start the game with $25, and I just earned $10 from that trade. So there we go. We fixed that. Okay, cool. All done. Now going back to Russia. Russia has to finish their action. So Russia's going to do a build a base action. So we're going to move their thing over. Boom. And is Russia under threat anywhere? Russia is not currently under threat anywhere. So the question is, where can Russia put the most people under threat? And that's either Europe or the Middle East, North Africa. So as a result of that, Russia's going to have a 50-50 decision. Nobody has more tanks than them, so they're going to do a 50-50. So this is going to be A, this is going to be B. We're going to look in the bottom left-hand side, and we're going to flip the card, and it's going to be B. So Russia's going to build a base here. They're going to build the base in Syria. So Russia's going to pay $10 for that. And they're going to put a little tank over there. And now we're going to figure out where Russia's going to put that influence cube, either high or low. So we flip another Automa card. And Russia's going to put that cube high, so they're going to get 1 victory point. Tied with the USA, I see. All right, so that's all done. Over to me. Let's see. I got a few different actions I can do. Oh, you can't see my cards yet because I didn't change the overlay. There we go. I got a few different cards that I can do, so let me contemplate. I'm supposed to start with 2 tanks. There we go, that's better. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do military reinforcements. So I'm gonna play military reinforcements. Military reinforcements, what it does is it allows me to gain 1 tank. So I just gain 1 tank, and then I can move up to 2 tanks. And now I will move those 2 tanks. When I move tanks, I must move into a spot where I have a base, or I must move into a spot in my sphere of in my zone of influence. So in this particular case, I have no bases, so I can't really move anywhere, but I could move my 2 tanks here to the Middle East, here to Europe, or here to Africa. I want to choose to move my 2 tanks over into the Middle East, North Africa. Actually, I'm gonna move it up here in Europe. I'm gonna put Russia under threat. Actually, no, I lied. I'm gonna put it over here. Yeah, I want Russia to spend more time there. Oh, I put China's tank. Oh my gosh. Oh, I put China's cube. Oh my gosh. Sorry, let me fix all that. I always think Russia's red. It happens every time. I'm glad I caught that because that was gonna be very confusing. Like, why is China here? Okay, so I put 2 tanks there, and every time you move a tank to somewhere, you spend $5. So I have to spend $5 for each tank, so that's $10 total. That's it. All right, so my turn's over. Moving over to the last action here for the first round for America. America's gonna go ahead and do a red action. They're gonna do a move action. So we're gonna follow the priorities here. There we go. And the priority list is that they're gonna move to where they're currently threatened. Move for the Automas is gonna be moved from the supply out into the board. So the USA is gonna move a tank over here into the Middle East because they're currently under threat by Russia. Remember, Russia's posing a threat to both the USA and me, and we do not vouch for each other, the USA and I. As a result of that, USA is going to have to spend $5. So they go from 20 down to 15. And the USA is done. China's next. China's going to do a yellow action. So China is going to do an invest. So now China's going to spend, they have $35, so they can invest. We're going to figure out where they're going to invest. All right, so China is going to invest in Africa. China does have a country in Africa. They have South Africa. So they're going to spend $15. So from 35 to 20. And then we're going to add a cube for China into the region. Again, no handshakes for them. They're in Africa. Oh, they're doing Africa. Oh, jerks. We're going to flip a card. They're going to get a bottom spot, so they're going to get 3 victory points. Wow. Those jerks. Those jerks. All right, so last we have here, we have Russia. Russia's gonna go. They're gonna do a blue action. Now, a blue action is not one of the actions listed here on this board. A blue action is a growth action. I was really hoping that we got one, and we finally did. So a growth action, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually flip over to the growth section. So we're gonna ask a question, which is, what level is the Automa? The Automa is currently level 0. They don't have any growth cards yet. So as a result of that, we're going to we have to start with level 1 before we get level 2, and then get level 2, or go from level 2 to level 3, level 3, level 4, level 4, level 5. So as a result of that, Automas are going to follow the same path. Now the Automas are going to choose to buy one of these level 1 cards. The Automa doesn't care how much it costs, it just only cares if it can afford it. Now in order for us to figure out what the cost is for the Automa, we got to look at the cost here on the left hand side, and then check out the conversion chart up here. Again, the Automa doesn't care which one it gets, it just wants one if it can afford it. And if it can't afford one but it can't afford the other, then it will take the one it can't afford. So in this case, Russia will need to pay $20 for this one because converting one business will give us $10, and $10 is $10. And the other one is one business is $10 and one tank is $10. So $20 or $20, so we have to choose between the two. So as a result of that, Russia has a A-B situation. Russia has $35, so they can afford either one. So we're gonna flip our card, A or B. So A is here, B is there, and they're gonna choose A. So they're gonna spend $20 to get industrial development. So $20 for Russia. So they go from 35 down to 15. And we're gonna score them points. Now the Automas can't actually use a card, so to counter that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give them victory points equal to the victory points here plus the level of the card. So Russia's gonna earn 2 victory points total. If Russia had taken this one instead, Russia would earn 3 victory points. Of course, it's not how it works for the players, but that's how it works for the Automas. All right, so Russia's gonna earn 2 points, sorry, 1, 2. And they're done. All right, so it's up to me. My last action here. I think I'm also going to get a growth card. Or I could trade. Debating. Because if I trade, if I do a trade action, I can do some cool things. But if I get a if I get a growth card, that'll let me do some other stuff and also give me a few victory points, which won't help me, but better than nothing. Actually, the USA has $15. I got $25. I might be able to not go last. That'll be cool. All right, I want to get a growth card. I want to gain a growth card. So I want to get a growth card, and we're going to zoom our camera back up and check it out. So I'm going to choose this growth card because I want the points. I'm not really paying attention to the effect. So I'm going to spend one business. So let me bring it back down to my board here. I'm going to spend one tank in one business, and now I have this card. I'm going to earn 2 victory points, and I now have this effect. This effect says whenever you choose your focus, if it's a domestic or diplomatic, I can spend $5 to gain 1 tank. If it's military, I can move one of my tanks for free, which is really nice. So that can give me some flexibility here later in the game. So for here, I'm going to earn 2 victory points. 1, 2. All right, so we're all done. And yeah, that's it. So we're at the end of the round. So now that we're at the end of the round, we're going to do end of round stuff. So going through our phasing order here on the sheets, we have a few actions to kind of consider and do. So starting off, we're going to do our research phase. So research phase, we're going to do that right now. So what I'm going to do is explain research phase from a player perspective, because that'll make more sense, and then we can do the Automas afterwards. So as a player, I have 2 cards left in my hand. Now these 2 cards are going to give me some symbols here, and I'm going to earn this much money, so $5. So I'm going to get $5 from the bank, and then I'm going to gain this many research flags, points. So I'm going to use these spin down counters here to keep track of my research points. I'm going to earn 4. And then in addition to that, my current domestic focus is going to give me 2 additional. So I'm going to have 6. So I start off with 6 research points. Now we're going to do the Automas next. So for the Automas, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of collapse this a little bit, and then we're going to flip the top 2 cards for them. So for each country, each superpower, we're going to flip the top 2. And then we're going to give them their money and then also give them their research points. So the USA is going to earn $9, so from 15 to 24. China is going to gain $7, so from 20 to 27. Russia is going to gain $8, so from 15 to 23. And then we're going to add up the research. So everybody's in a domestic focus, so everybody's getting +2. And for the Automas do not have the ability to tap their countries. I'll explain what I mean by that later. But for right now, just know that the Automas are going to gain whatever is printed here plus their current focus, which is domestic, so +2, and then +1 for every three countries that they have. This is why we eliminate the duplicate countries if we get them, because it makes it easier for this part. So for this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna get +1 here. So The USA is going to get 4 plus 2, so 6 plus 1, 7. So the USA is going to have 7. And then next up we have China. China's going to have 4 plus 1 plus 2, so 7 again. And then Russia's going to have 4 plus 1 plus 2, so 7 again. So everybody's getting 7. And that's it. So now we've added up their stuff. This is going to stay in their discard. And collapse that. And now we're going to go over to the research phase. So for the research phase, we're going to bring our camera over here. And we're going to flip over our research cards. These cards should be visible from the start of the game. I didn't make them there yet because I just wanted to kind of keep it not too noisy. But I'm going to give this deck a little bit of a shuffle. Sorry, getting that close to the mic for some reason. All right, and we're going to draw 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So for the Automas, what we're going to do is they're going to take their action, or they're going to try to spend the most research possible. They're only ever going to buy one of these cards. They're only ever going to buy one of these cards. But they're going to follow a specific set of logic for this. So starting off with the USA, because we're going to go in turn order, as determined by here. So USA is first. USA is going to try the single most expensive card. Now, if you're playing in hard mode, there's some special rules for multiple symbol stuff. Just know that for normal mode, which is what I'm teaching and playing here, we're gonna follow the action on the where the cube is, if there is a cube spot. And if there's not, then we follow the priority order. So for here, the USA is going to choose a 7 because it costs 7. They're going to choose its first card. They're going to add it to their to the top of their deck. So you see here, they're adding it to the top of their deck. And that's all done. Now, next up, we're going to have, so we refill the board. And then next up, we have China. China's going next. China's going to buy the 7 because it's the most expensive thing I can buy. Man, I kind of hate that they're getting expensive stuff. And then finally, we have Russia, who has 7. Perfect. So Russia has 7, so it has a few different options that match. We have 2. In order to figure out which one they're going to take, we're going to look over here at their market priority list right here. And Russia's going to take reds before yellows, yellows before greens, and greens before blues. So therefore, sorry, I was pointing at little circles there. Russia's going to take red before yellow, yellow before green, green before blue. So we're going to go and determine which one they're going to take. They're going to take the red card for 6. And notice that Russia has 1 left over. Now, for every leftover research point that the Automa has, the Automa is going to burn or take out the last card here from the rest of the game. So it's going to eliminate that card. So if Russia had 5 left over, even if it had enough to buy multiple cards, it will only ever buy 1, and then it will burn that number of cards afterwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there we go. So now we're on to me. So everybody, all the Automas have gone. They've done their thing. So now it's over to me. So I am going to go ahead and make my selection. Now remember, I have 6 research points, but in addition to that, I can choose to exhaust any of my countries that are not exhausted to give me additional research points equal to their hex value. So that's why it's nice to have countries with high hex values, because you can use that to help you get some more research and do some fun stuff. I think what I want to do, I think I want to get prosperous times. That would be pretty fun. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter because we're going to end this and do our second review after I'm done with this. Well, after I'm done with the first half of the round, so I probably won't have much time to do much. All right, improve relations with the country on the board, then invest in that country. I guess I have a little bit of money, sure. All right, so we're going to spend 7 for this. So we spend all of our 6, and then we're going to exhaust one of our allies. We'll exhaust Nigeria. And then this card that we just purchased, we're going to put on top of our deck like so. So we're going to get it next round, essentially. And I think I'm kind of happy with what I have. I don't know if I want to buy another card. I mean, Prosperous Times is not terrible, which is this card here, but Trade Opportunity is also not terrible. Trade a resource type, then play another card. I mean, it gives me a little bit more momentum. So I mean, yeah, it's not terrible, but I'll end up with less cards. But again, we're almost done because we're not going to be playing a full game here. I want to ensure peace in the region. I'm going to get that. So I'm going to have to spend 4. So I'm going to exhaust EU member states, and I'm going to exhaust Canada. It's being reckless here. And I'm going to gain this card. This card allows me to engage in a region, spend a 1 flag less for each allied country that I have in the same region. That could really help me out with the Middle East. All right, so we're all done. So our research phase is done. So now we're going to go back to our main view over here. And we're moving on. Add auto influence. We only do that phase if we're playing a 2 to 3 player game. We're playing a 4-player game, so we don't have to do that. Aftermath is return on investments. What we're going to do is we're going to look at all of the, well, first, let me do the player side. If I had any FDI markers on my countries, I would get money equal to their hex value times 2. I do not, so I don't. But I am going to decide to remove this from the board to get $5 per country that I have in that coalition, because I don't need it for defense. I got my tanks there. So 5, 10. So I'm going to gain $10. All right, so that felt great. Now we're going to move over to the Automas. So for the, oh, that's not what I pressed. So for the Automas, they're going to gain $5 for every FDIC marker that they have. So China is going to gain $10. So from 27 to 37. And then Russia is going to gain $5. So from 23 to 28. And we're all done. So that's it. So that's it for return on investments. Now we're going to do increased prosperity. So I'm going to start here on my player side. Increasing prosperity is essentially going up on your prosperity track. It's going to earn me victory points and money based on what's here on my board. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the number of phones required, which in this case is 2. So 1, 2. And I go up 1. And I'm going to get $10. And 2 victory points. I wasn't counting on that, but I'll take it. 1, 2. All right, so I'm up from 15 to 17 victory points now. All right, cool. Now we're going to do the Automa side. The Automas are also going to increase our prosperity if they can afford it. So the Automas are going to have their own prosperity track here, kind of summarized here. So essentially, they're going to try to spend the money that they can for the next step. So the USA is going to try to spend $10. They can. They're going to go from 24 to 14, and they're going to gain 2 victory points. So they're going to be tied back with me. All right, China is going to try to spend $15. It can. It's going to go from 37 to 22. And they are going to gain 3 victory points for their first step. 1, 2, 3. And then finally, Russia is going to do the same. It's going to spend $15. So it's going to go from 28 to 13. And they're going to spend, they're going to earn 3 victory points. Okay, so that's it. So that is the prosperity side of things. So now that we're done with that, we're going to go back to our main board. And what's next? Next is going to be the resolve threat. So resolving threat, we're going to look on the board, and we're going to find any spot that has tanks. So here we have threat. So I have 2 tanks. America has 1 tank. Russia has 1 tank. Nobody's in a military focus, so therefore we don't have to worry about any bonuses added to that. But in this case, I have more tanks than Russia. And again, I don't threaten the USA, so it's fine. So I have more tanks than Russia, so I have 2 threat to Russia's 1 threat. So therefore, Russia's under threat. So Russia's going to lose just flat 2 victory points. It's always a flat 2 victory points for losing the threat battle. 1, 2. All right. Next up, we have. And again, the USA is matching Russia. Russia doesn't threaten me because I have more tanks and I have more firepower there, so that's fine. Now, East Asia Pacific, the USA has more than China. Because this is China's sphere of influence, so they're threatening China. So China's going to end up losing 2 victory points. And that's it. So threat is now resolved. Now scoring, we will not do it. We do it at round 3 and round 4, so nothing happens yet. So now we're going to go to the next round. We're going to grab all these cubes here. And we're going to add these cubes into their spots. I think I mentioned this before, but I mentioned it here. We're going to add these cubes into the action cube priority spot listed on the card. So Russia wants their first cube on build a base, USA wants their first cube on build a base, and China wants their first cube on invest. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. And now we're ready to do our top of round stuff. So I'm going to play through basically the first turn of this round, and then I'll get to my second review. I think we're making reasonable time here, so we're almost through here. We're almost done. The reason why is so I can kind of show you what the Automas do when they add their bonus market card. They do some cheaty stuff. How dare they? How dare they? How dare they do cheaty things? All right. So for this one, we are going to move it back to my camera. And with my camera, we're going to go ahead and go through the steps here. So we're going to do the preparation phase. So we're going to draw cards. I'm going to draw 6 cards. I got to throw these away in my discard. There we go. Got my 6 cards. And I got 2 brand new cards, and I got 4 normal basic cards. Cool. Happy about that. Next, I'm going to reveal country cards. So revealing country cards is we are going to go and flip over the next country on each stack. Sorry, it's hard to reach that. I got long arms, but not that long. Okay, all right. So that's all done, and then we determine turn order. So turn order is determined by victory point stats. So China is going to be first, Russia is going to be second, and then between the U.S. and I have $40. The U.S. has 14, so therefore I go before the U.S., which is kind of cool. Doesn't always happen that way. All right, so that's all done. So we found turn order. Now we're going to produce primary resources. So I'm going to focus on myself, and then we'll go back to the Automas because they have some special stuff they also need to do. But for here, I need to produce my primary resources. So I get 1 energy, and then I get 1 rare materials or raw materials. I'm going to get 3 food. 1, 2, 3. All right, all done. Now that I've done that, I need to choose my focus. So my focus, given where I am, let's see, where are my cards again? Oh, whoops. Gosh, I'm making a mess here. I got some good engages, so I want to go diplomatic focus. So I'm going to go diplomatic focus. Diplomatic focus allows me to ready 5 of my country cards. So I'm going to flip over 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have exactly 5. Nice. 5. Done. Okay. And I can spend $7 to increase my flag production by 1. I will. So I'm going to spend $7. All right, and I get to go up by 1, and then I get to produce flags. And for every flag that I produce, I have to spend $3. So I'm going to spend $15. So I'll put in 20, take back 5, and I get 5 flags. All right. And that's my entire preparation step. Now, let me go to the Automas because they're going to have a special set of steps. So first thing first is we're going to figure out what focus that the Automas are going to get. So we're going to give a shuffle here on the deck, the randomizing deck. And we're going to flip this over to figure out what stance they're in, what focus they're in. So we're going to flip it over first for the China. China's going to be in a military focus. Next, we're going to flip over for Russia. Russia is going to be in a diplomatic focus. Wow, that's interesting. And then finally for the USA, USA is going to go into a domestic focus. So they're going to stay where they are. Now, on this board, it has some more text on it. Again, you can't really read it from here, but on this board, it has some additional text. So what we're going to do is we're going to give them money based on what focus they chose. So for the diplomatic or domestic focus, the countries in a domestic focus are going to gain $10 per the round level. So in this case, the USA is going to gain $20. Oh, geez, that was heavy. Why was it heavy? All right, so from 14 to 34. All right, next up is Russia. For the diplomatic focus, they're going to gain $5 per round level. So Russia's going to gain $10. So they're going from 13 to 23. And then finally, for the military focus, they're going to gain $3 per round. So that means that China is going to gain $6. So from 22 to 28. So that's all done. Additionally, there's a special action. Where Russia, because they're in a diplomatic focus, they're going to be able to get a free pull a country, improve relations with a country that's outside of their sphere of influence specifically. So we're going to do that. We're going to draw from here. And by that I mean free as in a free action, not a free cost. We're going to keep flipping until we get a country that's not in their sphere of influence. So Central Asia is in Russia's sphere of influence, so not that one. Middle East is in their sphere of influence, so no. No. Europe is in their sphere of interest, so no. Africa is not in their sphere of interest, so they're going to try to gain one. So we're going to follow the Automa sheet like normal. So we're going to look in Africa. We have 2 countries. We have South Africa and we have Ethiopia. So we're going to first check and see if a country is one of the starting countries. It is not. Russia has none of them. So neither. We're going to check to see where they can build a base. They cannot build a base in either one. And then we're going to choose for the higher valued country, which is going to be South Africa for 3. So Russia's going to have to spend $15. So Russia's going to go from $23 down to $8. There we go. That's all done. All right. So that is all established. Russia has gotten its special action there. And now we're all done. Now we're going to go continue with our normal turn. So starting off with the China. China's first. So we're going to flip over this card. Now this is a market card. There's going to be some special stuff happening here. Now this one has 2 boxes, so we're going to choose the one that has a square in it, which is going to be just trade. So they're going to do a yellow action. So in this case, we're just going to do the yellow action like normal. So China's going to do yellow action. It's going to do is this invest? China's going to spend $15 to invest somewhere. They are going to invest in Central Asia. So China's going to invest in Central Asia. They can. They're going to spend $15. So from 28 to 13. We place our marker. Then they're going to get 1 influence cube. So China is red. And they're going to get it to Central Asia. And we're going to choose high, low. So we choose, we're in round 2. They choose high. So it's going to be 1 victory point. Okay. Next up is going to be, before we do that, before we go from turn, now because it's a market card, this is in the rulebook, so go check it out for the diplomacy and dominance. I forgot what page. But we're going to take this card here from the market. We're going to throw it out of the game forever. And then China's going to take another turn because they cheat. Now China's going to take a green action. This is their first turn 1 thing. So they're going to take a green action. So they're going to do an improve relations. And China's going to improve relations with Africa. So they're going to improve relations with Africa. So they're going to try to grab one of these countries. We follow the same chart from before. They're going to choose Sudan here on the left-hand side. So neither one, they can build a base in neither one. Neither one are their starter countries here. And the higher value one, they're both tied. So they're going to choose one on the left, which is Sudan. So now China has Sudan in addition to South Africa. And they have an additional country to kind of put their markers and bases on. They got to pay 2 flags for it. So they're going to pay $10. Because remember our conversion table up here, $5 per flag. And we're all done. China's now finished. Now move on to Russia. Russia's going to go. They're going to flip over. They're going to do a red action. So they're going to do Russia's white. Russia's going to build a base. And Russia's going to build a base where they're currently threatened at. Russia's not in a military stance, so they're currently threatened here by me. So as a result, Russia will build a base here in the Middle East. So Russia's going to spend $10. Oh, Russia can't. Russia's broke. Oh no, I didn't realize that. Haha. Take that. Russia has $8. Heck yeah. So because Russia has $8, Russia's instead going to do a trade action because it cannot afford to build a base. It's short by $2. Man, that's crazy. So Russia is going to do a trade action instead. So let me put that cube back where it was. And Russia's going to do a trade action. So they have no cubes over here, but they're still going to do a trade action. So Russia's going to get how much money? Russia's going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're going to get 8 times 5, $40. So they're going to go from 8 to 48. So they're done. We're going to take this card and burn it out of the game because it's a market card. And we're going to flip. And they're going to do a yellow action now. Now, the one thing you should note is that that didn't do what I wanted to do. I'm sorry. One thing you should note is that the action here, what this means, this implies that for the rest of the game, anytime the bot, or at the first turn for the bots, the first turn for the Automas, every round is going to be an extra action for them, essentially. So it's going to happen every single time. So Russia's going to do a yellow action, so they're going to invest. They're going to spend $15 to invest in the Americas. They have no Americas, so they can't. They're going to invest in South Asia. They do have a South Asia, so they're going to spend $15, so from 48 to 33. And they put one there. And they're going to grab an influence in Russia's white. So they're going to put an influence in South Asia. Wow, really? We got a high-low situation, so they're going to choose low for round 2. So 3 victory points for them. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's it for Russia. Now over to me, because I'm the player. Now I got my turn, and I'm just basically gonna play my turn because the USA is gonna do the same thing, so I'm not gonna stretch it out further than that. But I'm just gonna play my last turn, and then we'll finally get to my second half of the review, because I want to do another engage. No, I want to improve relations and invest. Yeah. So we're gonna. Oh, actually, because I can reduce the costs. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna do this first. All right, so I'm gonna improve relations and then engage in a country. So I can improve relations with a country. I'm gonna choose. Oh man. Because I want to stay on the Middle East, but also if I do need to get Africa, bringing our camera view back to our main view, I do need to kind of get more cubes up here in Africa. If I get my engagement as the next turn for Middle East, North Africa, that could be really cool. And I have 2 spots I can build a base. I can build one in Djibouti. I can build one in Qatar. I got 2 options. I think I'm gonna have to go with Africa because I think Africa's. I don't want that to get out of control because I need to have the most cubes here, and over here I need to have the majority. So here I'm gonna grab this country. I'm gonna make better relations with Djibouti here, and I'm going to spend 1. Oh, I have to invest in it. Ugh. Shoot, I don't want to invest in it. Oh, I can trade. Okay, I'll trade instead. Yeah, trade will give me more resources and help me out later with. No, you know what? It's fine. I'll go ahead and invest in it. I don't want to, but I'll go ahead and invest in it. I don't want to because I didn't want to exhaust it because I wanted to build a base there. Actually, okay, no. You know what? I want to build a base there because I got to build a base in an allied country. All right, yeah. We're going to do a trade. So we're going to do a human trade. So this is the first time doing a trade here as a human, so let's go and talk about it. So for the human trade, for the players, they are limited by how many imports and exports they can do. I can export two different types of goods, and I can import 2 different types of goods. So as a result of that, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that. I'm going to export food, so I can do 1, 2, 3, 4 different places wanted as an export. So I'm going to export 4 food, and every time I export, I'm going to earn, and we can kind of see it here. Every time I export food, I'm going to earn $5 per. So I'm going to get $20 for doing that. So let's give me $20. Thank you. And then next, I can export another type of good. I want to export 1 business to Norway. So I will, and that's going to give me $15 per. So I get $15. Thank you. Good. Now that I'm done with that, now I can import. So when I import, I can choose who I'm importing from. I can import 2 different types of goods. I'm going to import energy, 1, 2, and 3 from Russia. So I'm going to import these 2 first. Imports are going to be cheaper than exports. It's going to be $3 per for the energy, materials, and food. So I'm going to import the 2 energy from these 2. So I pay $6 to the bank. That's it. Now I get my 2 energy. And then I'm going to import 3 from Russia. Now I can import less, but if I import the maximum amount that they offer, then I'll be able to get a diplomacy flag back. So that's why I want to do that. So I'm going to import 3 from Russia. So I give Russia $9. So I'm going to put in $10 to the bank and get back 1. And then I'm going to give Russia 9 of my hard-earned dollars. So they're going from 33 to 42. So they earn $9, and I get a diplomacy flag because I traded with another player. And then I'm also going to trade, I guess I'll trade materials with them too, so I'll give them $9 more. So 1, 2, 3. And I'll put in 20, take back 11. And then Russia's going to get $9 more. I do not get an additional flag for doing that. Oh, actually. Yeah, no, we'll stick with what we did. All right, so Russia's going to get $9 extra, so we're going to go to 51. So I just gave them a ton of money, which might not be great. Oh man, I forgot. Shoot, Russia traded. Jesus. Let me go back. Again, I've been forgetting this whole time, so my apologies to those watching and trying to learn the game from my video. Because Russia traded, and didn't China trade? Somebody else traded. No, it was just Russia. I think Russia traded twice because they couldn't afford the base build, right? I don't know. Because Russia traded, that was the last one I remember. We gotta flip over this card. Easy to forget. Russia's gonna trade with nobody. Hey, look, I did it right. Okay, cool. Going back to me though, I got 3. Let's see, I got 1, 2 energy from them, and I got 3 from Russia. 1, 2, 3. And then I got 3 materials from Russia. So I think my materials are in the correct spot. I don't think I got my extra energy. Okay, so I think that's fine. Or do I have too many? 1, 2, 3. Was that 0? No, I was at 2. Okay, yeah. All right, we're in a good spot. All right, so we're all done. My trade is now finished. I finished my trade action, and that's it. All right, so that's gonna be it. Like I said, I can kind of keep playing and keep doing everything over and over. I just want to show you what the bots are doing. We are all done, and my overall rating. So again, as far as things that I like all the nuance that exists in the game. It took me a little bit to kind of get used to just kind of the pace of the game, because part of me wants to have that kind of quick fast satisfaction from like playing an action and kind of having like a big turn or having a big thing happen. But in this game, that's not really a thing that you see much. I mean, I guess you do see that once your plan finally gets, finally goes into fruition. Like for instance, having a handshake here for defense and then just putting 2 tanks instead, that was nice because that earned me $10 extra, and I got to put some pressure on Russia, which actually caused Russia to put some pressure on the U.S. to build a base there. Otherwise, the U.S. and Russia and China would just build bases over here and just keep fighting each other. So I had to kind of put some pressure on them in some other ways. I also want to try to build a base there at some point, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. Additionally, it's nice to see just kind of like from play after play after play that I've had of this game, just to kind of see how the game like slowly progresses. I think it's one of the unfortunate things about this game. The unfortunate reality is that you do need a little bit of time to play it. I'm a person who personally I do not like the game Risk. Risk is a game that I'm very much risk averse. I try to avoid it. It is not a game I enjoy at all. This game feels like a much more excellent version of Risk, which for me is not entirely a compliment, but it is something that I think people should consider if they like area control, if they like doing those kind of things of like posturing and causing threat, causing people to do a thing or kind of forcing actions. You can have those situations like here, again, putting a handshake for defense and then saying, nah, I'm gonna send tanks there instead. That was a great decision in the long run. In the short run, it didn't feel good because I was throwing tanks places, and I usually sell those. But having the ability to kind of put pressure on Russia early, and then start building my force up here, that's kind of my entire goal. So I feel like there's a lot of, again, nuance that happens in the game, and in addition to that, each approach can be very different based on what cards show up and when they show up. I've had games where I ended up not getting my trade cards at the right time, and as a result, I ended up not being able to have a lot of money, so I was basically trying to pinch pennies to make it through my game. I've also had games where I got nothing but trade cards and things I didn't want, like trade, invest, because either they were cheap cards, I kept buying junk cards that I didn't really need, or maybe they were serving my purpose at one point, but then later on in the game, when I shuffled my deck and I drew my next 6 cards, it was just an awful hand. So the game is really about kind of adjusting to what you get as you go, and that can be a really fun puzzle at times. There are some layers of frustration that kick into it, but for the most part, this game gives you enough tools and gives you enough levers to kind of pull to usually get yourself out of a rut if you end up in a rut. There are some situations that end up being kind of, I don't want to say unwinnable, but just untenable, to where you don't have any money to do the thing you want, you can't get any cards, your cards are not carding properly, every action is too expensive, you can't really do anything, and you've already spent your superpowers and spent your strategic assets. But I feel like those particular states that might show up are not nearly as common. And again, of my playthroughs that I have, this would be like a partial playthrough, so I'm not counting this one. But I have 4 full playthroughs solo. 3 full playthroughs. Wait, did I say 4 earlier? Sorry, anyway. 4 playthroughs if you count my very first one that I don't really want to count, but I guess I can count it because it was an experience with other friends. And as a result of that, I have enough experience from my short playthroughs of running the bots and getting the rules correct and kind of learning how the nuances and where they are and how they exist. I have enough experience to kind of make the statement that there is a way to solve all your problems. The question is, do you want to commit to it, yes or no? I've had, again, situations where my invest cards show up early, and I usually don't like investing in my countries because it's like, you get like $2 or $3 back, and what's the point? I mean, the only point really is to kind of get that victory point marker on the board with your influence, and maybe kind of bump somebody out if you can on the temporary influence. But otherwise, it sucks to spend so much money, because I didn't talk about how a player does it, but I'll just kind of bring our camera back. If I wanted to invest in Iraq here, for instance, what I would need to do is oh wow, why is that so out of focus? What happened? There we go. If I wanted to invest in Iraq, I would need to spend $15, and then I exhaust the card, and then I put the marker on it, and then it's going to give me back $4 every round. So I had to do this early enough to be profitable, or I really need to have some investment markers down for some reason. So investing never feels great. whenever I played tried to do the investing things, and it's just something I just kind of avoid. Again, it gives you a cube, which is nice, and then also some victory point conditions require you or an opponent to have the most investments in than anybody else, or more than all the other players combined. In the case of China, but it all boils down to just a situation of you have the tools to do it. The question is, do you want to commit to it, yes or no? And that can sometimes be an interesting decision space, and you can see fun in it. But just kind of sliding on over into our negatives here, on things that I didn't like in the game. I don't like the decision space sometimes. The decision space is sometimes garbage. What I mean by that is that sometimes you have cards that do not reflect either what you're trying to do, what you were trying to do, or what you want to do. And again, adjustment is kind of the name of the game. Playing tactically instead of playing kind of the grand strategy, doing exactly what you want every single time. I get it. You got to make an adjustment. You got to make a change. You got to shift things up a little bit so that way you can progress and continue to survive. Maybe set yourself up for next round if this round's gonna suck. But they're also like it's a far cry from its sibling, its older sibling here. It is in World Order is a far cry from its older sibling of Hegemony, to where in Hegemony you have the ability to discard the card and do a basic action instead. The fact that this game doesn't have basic actions kind of hurts this game a lot in my view, because really it comes down to when do you use your executive order, when do you use your superpower, and you have in this game 4 actions per round, 6 rounds, so you have 24 actions, sometimes more if you can get those cards that let you draw a card, play a card, or play this card and then play another card. But even then, you have virtually 24 turns to kind of make the board, make your impact on the world out here, and kind of get your cues where you need to, get your conditions that you need so you can score, and then maybe pivot later, get the countries that you want in your coalition. And as a result, it feels so bad to just have everything just kind of chugging along and everything's going perfect, and then you just don't draw the growth card that you need because you were trying to grow this turn, or you don't draw the trade card that you needed, or you couldn't buy, you couldn't purchase, because remember, you do have a whole purchase row over here. There was no cards that showed up here that you could purchase that would give you the thing. Like in this case, if I needed another engage card and I was up first to buy things, I mean, I can spend 2 research to burn 3 cards, which might be fine. So let's say I spent 2 research to burn 3 cards. The chances of a green card showing up should be hopefully high. Oh yeah, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. I say it's unfortunate because it's not the action I wanted. It's improved relations. But again, it kind of gets into that point of like, okay, I need an engage. There's no way for me to get an engage. I don't have an engage in my deck. I don't have an engage in my hand. I don't have an engage over here to buy. Nobody's going to give me the engage I need. I really need that to kind of make my plan work. And then you just end up falling apart because of it. And it ends up being this like very restrictive puzzle. And I don't know if I like that in the long run. I think that's one of the reasons why, like on a true rating side, again, 6.5 out of 10 is what I want to say in my heart, but I'm giving a little bit deference because it is following up Hegemony, a game that I like a lot. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 officially. I feel like in my hardest of hearts, I want to drop at 0.5 just because of that specific reason I just said. But again, that specific reason I just said is the nature of the beast. That's something that happens in these kind of games. And it's one of the reasons why I don't like playing this kind of game sometimes. So it could just be it's not my cup of tea, but what I'm also trying to say is that ends up being a negative for me personally, to where sometimes you're just kind of forced into a corner of like what you want to do. Sometimes you're forced into a corner of what you need to do in order to survive and maybe have a chance of winning the game to stay viable. But it sucks to be kind of forced into that corner when you spent so much time planning and you're working on things, you have progress going. Yes, unexpected things happen from what the opponent's doing. Yes, sometimes you need to plan better and actually establish your foothold before you just let it fall apart. But it also just kind of bleeds into this loop of being frustrating. This frustrating loop of like, oh man, if I could just do the one action that I needed, none of these cards are doing the thing. And it's like, this is the worst time for this to happen. And this doesn't feel great. So again, it fits pretty heavily into a negative for me personally. But again, I understand the people out there who are saying, yeah, this is part of the game. Like, get good, bro. And it's like, yes, you're right. Get good, bro. Plan better. I agree. I should plan better. I'm bad at long-term planning, and I acknowledge and agree with that. However, it still sucks, and it's a reason why I'm putting it into my negative side. Another thing on the negative side is that I think this game lasts too long. As you see, it was my playthrough. I was yapping a lot. I was talking a lot. I was explaining a lot. So that is a factor for sure. But I think I finished my first review at about 30 minutes into this video, maybe 40 minutes into this video. And I just started this review at around the 2-hour mark. It was about an hour and a half to get through 1 round of, 1 hour and a half of me teaching and also going through a first round and then starting the first turn of the second round. And that is a very long time to be playing this game. There are games that are finished in the same time that this game is trying to get started up. And again, the thing is, this game's getting started up is cool because now you have the story developing. Like, I got the situation. Am I going to maintain my military power here? Am I going to fight for Africa because now, China's here, but Russia started getting some allies here too. So maybe Russia might try to sneak in here too. Am I going to go challenge, join this fight over here with China? Join this fight over here with Russia against China in the South Asia area to make sure it doesn't score those points. Am I going to join that fight ever? And like, you have all this stuff, you have all this space, this story space, and it's telling a cool story. And I feel like it's unfortunate because I think this game needs the 6 rounds to do anything, but it sucks that it doesn't happen in shorter time. Like, if I don't know if there's a way to speed it up. I don't even know if there is a way to speed it up. I guess some playthroughs that I've seen of people, I've seen playthroughs where people 4 hours on Tabletop Simulator, which that slows the game down by itself. So maybe people just know the game a lot or know the game really well. Saw some people sitting around a table playing the game for like maybe 4.5 hours, and it's like, man, maybe I'm just bad at this game. I don't know. And it's very true. I'm a slow gamer. I game slowly. I like long videos because I like to watch and listen to the background. So it's just me. So it kind of flows into this meshes with me with having a longer video. But I also actively do not understand why it needs to take as long as it does. Again, it's hard to justify throwing this on the table for me personally when I can just go play Mage Knight. Because Mage Knight is a game that I'm starting to learn to like a little bit better. Not love, but learn to like a little bit better. I can't say it's like a top game for me, but it's definitely improved its position from where it was before for me. Also, it's hard to convince myself to play this over playing something like Newsfjord or Fields of Arl or Clans of Caledonia solo or Core Discovery, like any other game that I would rather play other than this, because I know how much time this takes and also how much brain space this takes. The Automas are not super complicated. And yes, I kind of had to download on what they do and when they do it because I've been playing this for so long in preparation for making this playthrough that you saw previously and this review that you're currently watching now. But also, that was a lot of work. That was a lot of work. It's a lot of homework. It's a lot of like getting this wrong, trying this out, doing it again, recording a 9-hour video, and then learning to my horror that I was playing the bots wrong the whole time, so I had to do it again. So again, skill issue. I need to pay more attention, study more, be more studious. But the point I'm trying to bring up is that even with the knowledge that I have now of how the Automas run, I still got to do the mental math. I still got to figure out what the costs are. I still got to figure out, okay, who's losing what, who's gaining what. Oh man, I got to remember the trade. I forgot the trade. Oh man, which cubes did you move? All this stuff. And that problem can be solved with an app. There are some people who've developed an app already that some people have given praises to. I can't vouch for it myself. I'll wait for the Hegenomic Project Games folks to go ahead and make an official one, and then I'll try it. But for now, I'm going to keep, smashing my head against the brick wall that is the manual Automas, because I feel like it's not that complicated. It's just sometimes it's like, man, I'm spending so much time like trying to figure out what they're doing, managing what they're doing, figuring out what the decision tree is, going down the flow chart to make sure I make the right decision for what the bots are trying to do. And then I finally get to my turn. It's like, what was I trying to do? What was my plan again? Oh man, I got to remember what my plan was. I got to set it back up. And I actually went back and watched my my entire playthrough that I posted. I had it playing in the background while I was working because I get to work from home for today, or the day that I'm recording this. And I got to the part towards the end. This is not a spoiler, but the part towards the end where disaster struck. I had an existential crisis in the middle of the game because I had a plan and then I forgot what the plan was, and then I pivoted to another plan, and it was too late for me to undo back far enough to like unscrew myself over. And I literally was like cringing at the fact that it took like 25 minutes to finally agree to undo the thing I said I wasn't going to undo, and then finally do the thing I wanted to do, and then only to watch like the next time my turn came around, just like oh man, I forgot what I was going to do again. So like that's kind of painful, and that kind of sucks, and that's kind of a function of two things. One, of me, maybe I should write stuff down. And then two, having to manage the Automas, because like they have so much going on sometimes. Sometimes they have bases built. I got to figure, okay, where they're building base, where they're doing this. It ends up becoming a lot to kind of manage and maintain. And that might be part of the reason why the long experience of this game versus the long experience of something like Mage Knight, or the long experience of something like Shia, Legends of a Drift System, or even the long experience of something like Imperial Assault might be less taxing for me. Because for this one, I got to figure out the Automas, I got to do the math, I got to do this, and it ends up being a lot of, I don't want to say busy work, but just I don't have time to kind of just sit back and watch the bots do a thing. It's not as simple as flip a card over and then do the thing. I mean, I guess it is flip a card over, do the thing, but I prefer Automas where you get to flip a card and then do the thing the card says, and then it's your turn again. That would be cool. maybe Hegemony's bot was like that. I don't know. I never played Hegemony solo because I felt that was just a 4-player game. But I'm just trying to say that there is an exhaustion factor associated with trying to play a game this long with bots, maintain correct rules the whole entire time, and make sure that you don't miss anything. And it gets to the point of like, maybe this is a 4-player game. I don't know. Maybe this is a 4-player only game, just like his older sibling Hegemony. I'm not sure. I do think that this game does have the unfortunate last negative here. The unfortunate last negative of being a game very similar to something like Twilight Struggle. I'm not comparing this game to Twilight Struggle. I'm not saying this game is better than Twilight Struggle. I'm not saying this game is Twilight Struggle. I just want to say that for people so you don't freak out. What I'm saying is that Twilight Struggle is a game that if you play Twilight Struggle 7 times and then play somebody who has maybe just gotten past their first game, you have the biggest advantage to win that game. Like it's very hard for if we're betting. I'm not a betting person, but I would bet exactly $1 on the person who's played the game of Twilight Struggle 7 times, or the person who's played it once. Mainly because that experience that you gain, that knowledge that you gain, that download, is hard to tell people. I mean, you can info dump and tell people everything, but you just have to kind of experience it sometimes. You just have to kind of see it. Like I have enough foresight with my playthroughs of Hegemony to know that I need to mess with China. If I don't mess with China, then I'm gonna have trouble. I also have enough foresight to know that there's going to be a tank race eventually in the Middle East and Europe, because the USA is going to build some tanks, and then Russia's going to build some tanks, and then USA is going to build some tanks. And I'm like, guys, can you please chill the heck out? So I either have to build tanks or get handshakes. So as a result of that, I'm trying to prepare for that in this game. I had the foresight to try to just go ahead and play that card that moves tanks. 1, I want to show what the action did. 2, it actually made sense here, and I was able to get some money with my handshake that I put there preemptively, and then I got my tanks there instead. So I had a few different aspects of that really made me have a better advantage than normal. So as a result of that, I feel like I had maybe a better standing in the game than I did in some of my previous games, because I took the knowledge from my previous game on this one, and I was able to apply it and kind of move forward with it. But it's just kind of it's unfortunate. Because it means that this game's a little bit harder to introduce to new people. I'm not saying you can't, because all of us were new at one point. Even if you played the game 70 times, you had 0 plays under your belt at one point. So I'm not saying you should not introduce this game to new people. I'm just saying that when you do introduce this game to new people, they may not have the best of times, because it's kind of hard to fully understand the strategy, because it's so nuanced. Again, the more you understand about world politics, the more you can kind of see it. So that's fine, but it's just the more you play it, the better it is. But I feel like this game lasts so long that maybe you only want to play it once every other month. If you have a group that you come together every once in a while to play, it just ends up being something maybe it's a little bit harder to table because of the length of what you're doing. Because of the length of the game and of what you're doing versus some other options that might exist out there. So again, this is kind of falling a little bit into the category of like, maybe I want to play something else instead of this. I don't think that there's another game that does exactly what this game does. This game is unique in that aspect. But even in that case of I don't think this game does exactly what another game does, I do know that I can finish playing Gaia Project in either half the time with people who know what they're doing, or maybe roughly the same time. Actually, no, I take it back, not roughly the same time. Definitely shorter time than this, and I'd rather play Gaia Project. I can even go and play a full game of Hegemony before I finish a full game of this, and I feel like that's a problem, because that means that this game, as slow as it is developing, it's a slow burner. It's kind of cooking, it's kind of simmering the whole time, and then you kind of have this explosion of like great story, great stuff going on, all this conflict, and like, whoa, man, I can't believe that happened. But it's like, do I really want to sit through the entire extended edition for all of the trilogy for Lord of the Rings? Or do I just want to go watch, just one episode of this other TV show? Again, I'm kind of comparing apples to oranges at this point. I know, I understand. But what I'm trying to say is that it's hard to justify this 8-hour game. It's hard to justify this maybe 5-hour game. 4.5 hour, sure. I don't know what people are clocking on the numbers, but 4.5 hour game. It's hard to justify this over other games that I could very much spend more time playing. I could spend more time playing those games. I can play those more times in the course of this game, and it ends up being a little bit hard to kind of justify this entire experience for what I'm receiving, and especially if things fall apart. Because it's like, I'm having fun while I'm winning, and then the moment I start losing, it's like, why am I still playing this? Oh, I can actually speak for one of our playthroughs. The playthrough that we did with the rules incorrect, one of my friends was very excited for it, and then once he fully understood what was happening, he just said, I'm ready for this game to be over. I mean, he didn't say it out loud, but his demeanor changed of the game, And once we got to the end, he actually said, yeah, I was kind of when we were halfway through on round 3, I was like, why is this game still going? Why is the game not over? And yeah, that kind of sucks. That really sucks, because it means you're kind of stuck here for the experience and you're not really enjoying what's happening. You're kind of getting like a meh experience overall. Yeah, I can see that. I can see this game falling super hardcore flat for a lot of people. Again, I've had the good fortune or slight misfortune of having to re-record my playthroughs a few times, and each time learning a rule that made the game make more sense and feel a lot better, feel a lot smoother. For instance, one of my playthroughs, I didn't know that each one of these influence cubes is 1 victory point for all of the regions that are scoring, which is an extremely basic rule. I just want to emphasize how basic that rule is. If you look in the rule book, it says it right there, but I didn't know that. Every time I played, I was like, man, playing the EU sucks because I have no points. Where are my points coming from? But it turns out my points were coming from there. They should have been coming from there, and because I didn't count them, I never got credit for them, and I just felt like I was having a horrible time. Then I played again, understanding the rules about the influence. I started going more hardcore in influence, and I didn't win, but I did much better. And then I played again, and I was like, oh man, I played this rule wrong. So I went back and did it correctly. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, that worked. Hey, that feels better. I see what's going. I see what's happening. I like this machine that's going. And now I'm kind of where I am now, with, I think, the most correct understanding of the gameplay than I had previously, for sure. And I just look at the games like, why would I why would I spend this much time playing this again? I think I maybe might crack this out maybe once every 3 months at most, for me personally. But I mean, unless somebody's really recommending, really chomping at the bit to play it, like they say, hey, let's play World Order. It's like, hey, okay, World Order exists, but let's play Hegemony instead. How about that? And I feel like I might be able to convince more people to play that than this. So again, for me personally, 7 out of 10 is what my official rating is going to be. 6.5 is what I feel in my hardest of hearts. But again, I say this every single time because I want people to know I am giving this game deference, because I know that this game is following, not deference, that's the wrong word. I am giving this game some boost, a slight boost, because I know it follows Hegemony, and I know I love Hegemony a lot, and I know I was personally disappointed that this game did not rise to the exact same level that Hegemony did, as fast as Hegemony did for me personally. So with all those qualifiers aside, 7 out of 10 is my official rating. So that's what I would kind of say for the game. I do think that overall it is a really cool project. I think it's a really great project. I'm looking forward to trying the World and Turmoil expansion, because I heard it does a lot of things that I kind of wanted the game to do, like, you know, change up the landscape, give you some what-if scenarios, let you kind of experience what it was like for Brexit to happen, let you kind of experience what it's like to have the Ukraine-Russia war happen, or Russo-Ukraine war happen, let you kind of experience different aspects and different things, gives you another way to kind of play extra actions. And like, that sounds so cool to me, and I hope it speeds the game up, because if it does, I'm even more of a fan of it. But again, I gotta get to that stage of learning how to read a rule book. Let's start there. No, jokes aside, self-deprecation aside, I gotta get to the point of like fully understanding what's happening here. And I feel like I have a good understanding now, and now I feel comfortable jumping into War and Turmoil, so I can kind of see how that changes things up. And it might be a situation to where War and Turmoil changes the game enough to where I'm like, I will never play this game without it. That's definitely happened for me for a few games, like Shia Legends of a Drift System, or Zaya Legends of a Drift System, how you're supposed to pronounce that. I think the official pronunciation is Zaya, but I say Shia, whatever. But with that one, the Embers of a Forsaken Star is an expansion I'll never play that game without. And just to give clarification, Embers of a Forsaken Star expansion is #1 on my list of all my games, and Hegemony is #4. So the expansion, Embers of the Forsaken Star, made Shia jump from like number 15, 16 on my list all the way to #1. So that's how much I like that expansion, and that's what I mean by expansion making it to where the game becomes like a great game. So maybe the War and Turmoil expansion will do that. I don't know. I mean, I seriously doubt it, because again, I still feel like my core complaint is like how long this game lasts for what you're doing. Again, if we can just like speed this up a little bit, that'd be great. And actually, because I did my video on YouTube, I did go back and kind of look at the timing. So about 5 minutes per turn. So 5 minutes per turn, 5 minutes for all the Automas, and 5 minutes for me, roughly. So it's like 10 minutes per turn. So I'm talking, was that 24 times 10? So this is at 240 minutes. So 240 minutes for this entire game on a perfect day. That's not including scoring, which took me a little bit longer because I was doing it wrong. I fixed that. Oh, speaking of which, I need to talk about, well, it's too late. I can't talk about scoring. Shoot, darn it, I forgot to talk about scoring. I'll talk about scoring after I finish my rant here. But now that I kind of looked back at it, it's like, yeah, 240 minutes. I mean, what is that? Oh, geez, oh no, that's 4 hours. Jesus. Wait, I don't believe you. Hold on, let me get my calculator. I feel like I can't trust my brain to do math right now. 240 minutes is 6 hours. Sorry, 4 hours, right? That sounds like Sounds like it. 240 divided by 6. Oh, 60. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's 4 hours. Ugh, gross. Okay, yeah, 4-hour game. 4-hour game. Yep. Oh, sorry, we have somebody in chat here. Yes, 4-hour game. Indeed. So yeah. So it's again my primary negative, besides this game follows hegemony, is that yeah, this game takes a long time. This game takes a long time to play, and I'm not sure if I truly enjoy the experience enough to want to do that much time for the game. If this game lasted in 2 hours, like I played the whole game in 2 hours, I would love to kind of revisit this and keep trying the puzzle over and over, see if I can do better and better, and then eventually rotate to each country. But again, 4 hours is a lot to ask on a perfect day here, and the game has to be extraordinary for me to want to spend that much time. And I don't think this game is extraordinary. Hegemony is about a 4-hour game, actually 2-hour game, 2.5-hour game roughly, and 3-hour game. I don't know. I haven't played Hegemony in a while either. I need to go play that again. I want to play Hegemony now. Sorry, but Hegemony is a game that I feel like I can play 2 Hegemonies in the course of one of these, and that's not boding well for this game. So take that how you will, do what you want with that, and have all the fun. All right, so scoring. Before I end the video, I'm gonna go. Oh, actually, sorry, somebody in the comments here. Sorry, we have a Velvet Knight here. Oh, hi, Time Roller. Hello. Oh, I do live stream on Twitch, by the way. Twitch.tv/CulBlu. That's CulBlu. Check me out there. But hello, Time Roller. Whoops, indeed. And Velvet Knight gave me the download earlier. Said yes, 4 hours. Confirmed it because my brain was not doing math. 60 minutes in an hour. Yep. And then Velvet Knight also says here in Twitch, SETI had a similar play length issue, which the expansion addresses. Which is interesting because SETI is a game. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this. I bought SETI. And I played it with my friends, the same group, most of the same group that I played this game with, and we hated it. We played some rules wrong for sure. We 100% played some rules wrong. So I want to emphasize, playing rules wrong and hating a game go hand in hand because you didn't play the game correctly. So I understand there's a asterisk on that playthrough, but I didn't like how slow the upgrade track was moving, me personally. So as a result of that, I made that decision. I went back and watched some playthroughs and said, okay, this is how the game's supposed to be played. I still don't like it. So I got rid of it. So that goes a long way to say that, yeah, if SETI had the same play length issue, I can see that being a problem. I don't think the play length of SETI was much of an issue for me. It was just how slow things were going. For this game, I kind of appreciate the story that's happening over time. I do know it's going just as slow. If SETI had the same length as this game, then I can see that. But I feel like the slowness of this game is kind of, you're slowly building up your threat, you're slowly building up your influence, you're playing your cards, you're getting those countries, you're accumulating stuff. You can kind of see progress. SETI, I just feel like, why can't I go up the tech tree faster? This is silly. Anyway, so thank you for mentioning that, though, because I forgot completely about my experience with SETI. I personally did not like SETI. I've heard great things about SETI, the base game, and I'm like, how? And then people said the expansion made it a lot better, like you're saying here. So maybe I'll give it another shot one day. But for now, I think SETI's going to stay on my. Maybe if I could find it for $30, I'll try it again. But for right now, it's not on my list. So thank you for mentioning that, though. And yeah, World in Turmoil, if it addresses the length issue, great. I don't know if it will. I feel like World in Turmoil might make the game longer, which sounds silly to me, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when I crack that one open. All right. Okay. So now we've gone through that. Again, thank you very much for that particular statement there, Velvet Knight. All right. So let's go into the scoring because I didn't explain this earlier. I'll explain it here because in my playthrough I did the scoring wrong, and it wasn't enough to kind of change the outcome of the game. Whatever the outcome was is what the outcome would have been regardless. But let's go ahead and go through the scoring round. Let's assume that we're on the end of round 3. We're not, but let's assume that we are. And let's go through how scoring works. So first, we'll start off with actually. Okay, well, let's make this a little bit more exciting. 1 second. I'm going to add some more cubes so we can actually have things score. I think Russia's going to go over here a few more times and add some more tanks. Tanks don't matter, but let's see. Let's do that. And then USA is going to show up over here. Okay, I just want to make this area more complete so we can have something that scores. Oh, those cubes up there. Yeah. There we go. Ugh. Why am I not using my tweezers? I don't know. I'm stubborn. I gave up. I'm trying to use my tweezers. I want to throw a cube in there too. All right. So let's say this is what the board state looks like. Somewhat messy, but let's say this is where the mid-round scoring is. And I want to go through that properly and then we will finally close out the video. Okay, so for scoring, we're gonna punch in and we're gonna bring our screen just to show our screen. So for scoring, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the scoring. So we're just gonna assume that the board state is what it is. How is it like this without more points? I don't know, but let's just gonna assume. So we'll start off from here. Any region that has the permanent influence fully filled out will score points. So in this case, currently Europe, Middle East, North Africa, and Central Asia, these are the only 3 regions that will score. Now, with that scoring, we're gonna count the number of cubes. We're gonna start with Europe. We're gonna count the number of cubes per player. So the blue player, America, has 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna give them 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Russia has 3 points, so we're gonna give them 3. 1, 2, 3. And the UK has 2 points, so 1, 2. And then we're gonna check majorities. So for majorities, whoever has the most cubes here is gonna earn 9 points. Whoever has the second most is that and that and that. So for the most cubes, the USA is gonna score 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Next up is gonna be Russia. Russia's gonna score 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, they're tied. Look at them go. Look at them go. I'm going to score 3. 1, 2, 3. Go EU. All right, so that's all done. Now we're going to move over to the Middle East, North Africa. So we're going to add up we're going to do the same thing we did before. So for the EU, I'm going to score 3. 1, 2, 3. Russia's going to score 3, and so is the US. So they're going to move together. 1, 2, 3. And then neutral player's not going to score anything. So we have a 3-way tie. Oh, look at that, 3-way tie. So in the event of a tie with 2 players, in the event of a tie, whoever has the most tanks is gonna win. So in this case, actually, let me double check the rulebook on that part because I almost messed up that part too. Yeah, in the case of a tie, the VPs go to the player with the most tanks in that region. It doesn't matter about the threat, it's just most tanks. So I actually win the tie. Hey, look at me, preparing myself to win a tie. What? That's crazy. That's crazy. So 3. So I'm gonna get 10 points. Ooh, I like that. So from 25 to 35. Woo, I'm in the lead. All right, next up is gonna be the tied people. They're both tied on tanks. They're tied there. In the event of a tie, for them, they're gonna go, instead of here, they're gonna move down 1. So they're gonna move from 7 victory points apiece. Oh, sorry. Instead of fighting over 7 victory points, they're both gonna get 4. So the US and Russia are both gonna score 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Boo, I'm not in the lead anymore. And that's all it does. That's all she wrote for this one. Now over to here, this one's gonna score because the influence is the permanent influence is filled. So we got 1, 2 for Russia. Russia's running away with it. And then we got 1 for China. And then Russia's gonna score 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. China's gonna score 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. China's a scrub. Look at them being a scrub. All right, so that's it for that scoring. Now we're gonna go for here. So whoever has the most money, I think that is, so Russia has $51, America has 34, and I have $39. So Russia is first, and Russia's going to score 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. America's second. No, I'm second. Hey, I'm going to score 3 points. 1, 2, 3. And America is next. America's going to score 1 point. There we go. All right, now for tanks. Whoever has the most tanks on the board is going to win. So I have 2, America has 2, so we're tied. So we're going to drop down 1. We both have 3. 1, 2, 3. And then last up is Russia. Russia is going to get 1. Now, who has the most member countries? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I think I have the most. So I get 7 points. Woo, breaking away with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And next is, I think, Russia. Russia has, I took the overlay, my bad. Russia has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. China has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, they're tied. Okay. America has 4, so America does not have enough. Okay, so they're tied. So Russia and China are both going to score 2. So 1, 2. 1, 2. All right, now this is the part that I messed up for me. I'll bring our overlay back up and I'll punch on in. So I need to choose which of these 2 scoring cards, if I can find, where's my other one? There it is. Found it. Sorry, got a mess over here. I'm going to find out which of these 2 scoring cards I'm going to score. So I think, Yeah, I think I'm trying to score this one, normative power. So I'm going to try to score this one. So now we're going to ask the question of, are any of these true? Have more allied countries than each other player? Yes. Have at least 2 allied countries from 4 regions? 1, 2, 3, nope. Close, very close. So no. Have at least 1 engaged token on the main board? No. So I only got 1 of those true, so I get 1 whole victory point. So I go from that to that, so 48 to 49, and then this card is going to go out of the game forever. Now for the Automas, oh, sorry, Velvet Knight says those tweezers are great. Looking to pick some up. How long are the ones you're using? These are 18-inch, if I'm not mistaken. I can double check. They might be 22-inch, but I feel like 18-inch makes sense. But yeah, they're pretty long. It has some shorter ones, but these ones end up being the one I go to because I got to reach all the way over there and just saves my arm. It saves me from having to overstretch my arm. But thanks. Okay, so that's me for the player. The player's done. Now for the Automas are going to do some cheaty stuff. I always say they do cheaty stuff, but they're going to do cheaty stuff. So for the scoring round, and we're assuming that we're doing scoring round 3, by the way. We're going to shuffle these global superpower objective cards. We're going to draw 2, and Russia's going to check both and score both. And then we're going to throw these out of the game forever. So Russia's going to check this one. So have they increased our prosperity? Now, anytime there's a question about increasing prosperity, we can check, sorry. Anytime there's a question about production or having money, well, actually, I guess we can check the money directly. Anytime there's a question about the production stuff, we assume the answer is yes. So in this case, we can ask the question, does Russia have their prosperity increased at least twice? The answer should be no, because we haven't had enough time, so no. And we can double check that by checking here. Their prosperity is currently on step 1, not step 2. So nope, they do not have it. Next up is going to be, have they increased at least 2 of their secondary resource productions? The answer is yes, because we assume yes on those kind of questions. And the last one is, do they have at least $40? They do. They got $51. So Russia's going to score 3 points. Cheaters. 1, 2, 3. Now we take this and throw it out of the game forever. Next up, Energy Giants. Energy Giant. Have they increased their productions? So we assume yes. Have at least 6 allied countries to which they can export energy or raw materials. So if we look over here, Russia has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, only 5. Only 5, so not 6. So the answer is no. And the last one is, do they have an FDI token in at least 1 country where they can export energy or rare minerals? And the answer is yes, unfortunately, to that one. So I get this one over here for India. That's unfortunate. All right, so in that case, they got 2 of 3, so they will get themselves 3 victory points extra. And then we burn these for the rest of the game. Now, for the Automas, I'm not gonna score the rest of them, but for the Automa, and that's basically it for the scoring. After that's done, you're done with scoring. Now, for the Automas, they're gonna score 2 every scoring phase and throw them out. And at the end of the game, they're gonna score 2 more following the same pattern we just did, and then throw those out. And that's how that's all going to flow. So that's how the scoring works. The thing I got wrong with my scoring is that I scored both of my scoring cards when I should have only scored 1. And I think in the last scoring, the final scoring, I didn't score this for some reason. I think I forgot to score it. It didn't matter. The rank order would not have changed given how the points were going to be distributed. So that is how that works. So yeah, okay, all right, that's it. So now we're at the end. Sorry, a little bit disjointed here towards the end because I forgot to do the scoring with my teach up there. But hopefully this video has been enjoyable and entertaining. I'm going to go ahead and close it there though because it is late and I need to eat some food and go to bed myself and get ready to go into the office. All right, so thank y'all very much for watching though. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And as always, I will see you all whenever. Sorry. Ooh.